welcome to episode 0 of the Gaming and Drinking Podcast. I am Adam Gogan. I've got Travis Casey with me here today.
What's up?
Oh, just doing the old gaming and drinking. I've got the, this is from Brew Bus Brewing in Tampa. I live outside of Tampa. And this is the Fluffer Nutter Spread Imperial Stout.
Ooh, going heavy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Starting big, dude. Episode 0, you go big or go home.
That's true. That's true.
It is an Imperial Stout brewed with peanuts, marshmallows, milk sugar, and natural flavors.
Ooh, I love when they put natural flavors in there.
Yeah, don't know what that
means. It's always one of my favorites.
What about you? What you drinking?
So this is the Nebo Pilsner, let's see, and from Fontaflora out of Raleigh, North Carolina.
Okay.
And it's semi-local. I live in South Carolina, but close enough that we, North Carolina, South Carolina, we tend to say things are local even when they're split by state. So
yep, just like the Panthers.
just like the Panthers.
Dude, this beer is so damn sweet.
Is that first tasting right there?
Yeah, I've never had this before.
I like that.
I wanted to try it before, but I haven't.
So the beer that I was drinking when we were doing our setup is the Violent Beaugarden from New Sarum, which is my favorite brewery. It's one that my company distributes, and it's a blueberry cobbler pastry stout, and it's 11%. So this was my warm up beer. So now I'm going to the light pilsner.
So you already went big before we even started.
Right? Yeah, I wanted to be in the zone when we got.
Gotta loosen up, bro.
And it's so good.
I just loosened up by playing some Pin the Tail on the Donkey at the neighbor's birthday party.
Oh wow, nice.
So I need this.
I'm assuming there wasn't a lot of drinking going on with that gaming.
No, it was very unfortunate that there was no drinking involved. But one thing it was like it was my girlfriend, our next door neighbors, they're really good friends of ours. And my girlfriend went out of town with her because it was her birthday yesterday, and they came back today and had a surprise party for it. It was a 90s theme party. And they decided that they were going to play a game. They do all these like little themes and games and stuff all the time. And one of the games was, we're going to write a 90s celebrity and put it on your back. And then everybody's just going to give you hints. And whoever guesses who they are first gets a $5 Starbucks gift card. And
what celebrities did they do?
Dude, listen. So they put one on my back, and Amy, my girlfriend, she looks at me a second later and she goes, "Man, you're a heartthrob." And I go, "Jonathan Taylor Thomas."
Is it?
I won.
I was about to say, like, the classic 90s, like, Tiger Beat. I have a younger sister, so every time I think about her, like, Tiger Beat magazines, whenever I think about those, like, the 90s celebrities and the all those guys that were always on those covers, like Devin Sawa and you see these guys now and you're like,
they're hilarious on Instagram.
Yeah. Devin Sawa is particularly funny, but like to think that they were like these heartthrobs, like I don't think today, like the girls of today, like girls who would be that target demographic now, could imagine these old men as being like these like young, the ones that all the girls have. My sister had posters of these guys on her walls and stuff. So it's just funny that was like such a thing back then. And now magazines don't even exist. So
what the hell is a Tiger Beat?
Yeah, exactly. Nobody knows what any of that stuff is.
But yeah, it was really fun. Like the game, literally, not even everybody had all their fucking names on it. And they're like, "Wait, Adam won?" I was like, "Oh shit."
Wait, it was just the one? You just did the one round?
Yeah, it was just one round, and I won the gift card.
Oh, that's even better. Like you just
they were like, "Wait, Adam got it?" They're like, "How'd he get it?" Said heartthrob.
one clue in, and that's all it took.
Yeah, apparently I am a mind freak.
Apparently, your teen heartthrobs from the 90s very, very well.
Yeah, but anyways, we are getting off on a tangent here.
Already.
So, but let's get into kind of what we are. So this, again, is gaming and drinking, not 90s celebrities and drinking.
Although Although it could be a
It
different
could be
podcast.
we could go there. I mean, who knows?
Different podcast.
But we'll probably talk a little bit about that here and there. But
as it comes up in normal conversation.
Yeah, exactly. But really, this is episode 0. This is not even episode 1. We are really just kind of getting the feel for it. Neither of us have ever podcasted. But we are both have a media background. I used to be an editor at a news station. I've also been gaming pretty much my whole life. My older brother got me into Nintendo, like when I could barely even use my hands. And I've been a gamer my whole life, and I've listened to a lot of podcasts about gaming. And the ones that I'm always drawn to are the ones that it's kind of a little bit about gaming, but it's also about the personalities that are there and the humor and the connection that they have with their audience. Yep. And that's kind of what I think we're going for with this. We're not going to be like your podcast, your gaming news podcast where you come every day for your
breaking news.
I'm not going to be telling you about what numbers the PS4 sold in last quarter or anything like that. It's really just,
as you can see, we're very relevant. We're talking about the PS, or very up to time, because we're talking about the PS4.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I've got a PS4 Pro, but
right.
But no, we're going to be more talking about just what we're playing, what we're drinking. Want to get to know our audience and kind of go from there. So this is episode 0. If you're listening, if you're watching, you're getting in on the ground floor, and just let us know what you think. But yeah. Travis, you want to kind of go into a little bit about yourself? I've been rambling here for a little while.
Yeah. So, you started with a younger brother. I'm the oldest child of my family, and my dad and mom got me an NES in the 80s, and I started playing games on that. I had the Ninja Turtles game that everyone loves to hate on. And one of my fondest memories.
Awful.
There's some good parts about it,
yes.
but then it was followed up with the arcade game, which was excellent. And I played the absolute shit out of that. And then one of my fondest memories is when I got the SNES for Christmas one year. That kind of just set me off on a lifelong love of playing games and stuff. And I remember, back in the late 90s and early 2000s, I became like kind of a PC gamer, and started getting into like hardcore RPGs and Sims and things like that. And then kind of around the 360 era, came back to consoles and have kind of been playing consoles ever since then. So I think it's one of those things where I will play stuff no matter what platform it's on. I don't really care. The games are what's important to me, not the platform or anything. So been doing that. I've been gaming since basically I was 5 years old, and drinking a little bit later than that, but now I work for not much. I work for a beer distro now, a craft beer distro. So a lot of the beers that I'm going to be bringing onto the show is stuff that I have.
Sorry, my dog just tried to pull my microphone off.
Oh yeah, we both have dogs here too. So if you hear loud crashes or weird animal sounds, that's the dogs in the background. So there might be some mishaps here and there. But yeah, just been doing this for a long time, and now, and like Adam said, I have a background in film and media studies from the University of South Carolina, the real USC, for all the East
You mean
Coasters
the University of California?
Oh yeah, according to our former, at the time, president,
God,
the University of California, which was, oh man, don't even get me started on that.
Yeah.
So we're going to be doing this and seeing where it goes. And like Adam said, if you guys have any feedback, we are open to suggestions and whatever.
Speaking of that, we are on Instagram at Gaming in Drinking. We've got that on Twitter, YouTube as well. We are pretty content light at the moment, considering this is episode 0.
Yeah.
But we are working on trying to get some Twitch streaming going, get our podcast numbers up so that we can actually have a library that people can look to for content. And so from here on out is when we're really starting to build that. But just let's see a little bit more about me. I grew up, like I said, in the 90s. My brother introduced me to a NES, but I didn't really get a taste for what I liked in video games. So the N64 came out. Really played the hell out of some GoldenEye, Mario, Zelda, you know, all those classic games. Really wanted to get a PlayStation, but I couldn't because my parents wouldn't get me one.
I was in the same boat. Yep. I had to buy my own. I had to work and save and buy my own.
I had a Sega Genesis too that I had to play, that I played the hell out of. Funny story about that. I was obsessed with Toy Story as a kid, like completely, absolutely, utterly obsessed with Toy Story.
Did you have the terrible game that they made for it?
Oh, dude, you mean the amazing fucking?
If it's the same, so I played the one
where you're Woody and you got the drawstring.
But you're like, it's like a side scroller, right? Like your side scroll.
And the graphics are amazing.
They were. I do remember them being pretty good for that era.
3D. It was 3D graphics.
There's a gnat that keeps buzzing right in front of me. It keeps coming in front of my camera. It's driving me nuts. But I had that on the PC. I don't know if
amazing game.
I imagine it's got to be the same game. You said I don't think I ever beat the first level, so I don't know how good it.
Dude, when I was in like 3rd and 4th grade, I would come home every single day from school and spend about 90 minutes beating that game from start to finish
again?
Every day.
So it took an hour and a half to beat the whole game?
Maybe less. If you really know what you're doing, then you can zoom through that damn thing.
Oh, so you were speed running before you even knew what it was.
Pretty much. I wanted to play that Toy Story. But yeah, grew up on the Sega Genesis, but really got my real taste on the N64. Got a PS2 in high school. That was pretty cool. Played a lot of Ready to Rumble boxing. Played a lot of Tony Hawk's Underground. A lot of the quintessential like early 2000s games. And then PS3, PS4, is all in the history books. Me and Travis right now, we play a ton of Apex Legends. That's kind of our bread and butter at the moment. We're not great at it, but we enjoy it a lot.
Yeah. It's one of those like chat room games where you can get together with your boys and just bullshit and kind of play a game while you're doing that. And that's kind of how this sprung up actually, because we would find ourselves chatting like that in the middle of, like an Apex run. And then all of a sudden you're getting shot at and you're like, wait, we gotta be serious though. We gotta actually play this fucking game.
Yeah. We'll be sitting there talking about like, hey, did you hear about that other new game that's coming out next week? Yeah. It's like, oh shit, we got 3 teams raining down hellfire on us.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think what we're going to start with is, now that we've kind of gotten introducing ourselves out of the way, which I know that was a kind of long rant, but this is episode 0. We're doing what we got to get the people to know us. Right. We got to let y'all know who we are. I want to know who you are. You got to know who we are too.
Right.
So our first real segment is going to be obviously what we're drinking, which we've already talked about. Got the Brew Bus Fluffernutter spread.
We're not getting paid for this.
We're not getting paid for this.
That ad read right there was not. We are not getting paid for that.
Hey, if you want to send me some more Brew Bus, I'm right here. No, but so we're gonna talk about what we're drinking a little bit, which we've done, and then I think next would be what are we playing. So, Travis, what you been playing?
Well, I'll start with what we've both been playing. So we both just got the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Which is the PS4 / every other console, Xbox, PC, whatever, remaster of the original Mass Effect trilogy, which is one of my favorite series of all time, including Mass Effect 3. Fuck the haters. And I know we're going to talk about kind of how we approached this, but I'll say that I have played through and beaten all 3 of them, so I'm coming at it from the perspective of having played it before, and Adam has never played them before. So tell me what you decided to do. Did you go FemShep? Did you go male? Did you go renegade? Like what are you doing?
Well, first of all, I am really, really loving the lore of this game. Like, holy shit. As a sci-fi nerd, it feels like I'm playing through a sci-fi novel, with all of the different connections that are made and all of the different characters that just kind of get sprinkled in everywhere. But as far as my character goes, I did the Andwar. Is it Andwar? I can't remember. Whatever, the one where he was on a slave planet and the Alliance came and saved him. Yeah. And then I am going with the Vanguard class, which is the weapon and magic class, which I'm digging. I'm mostly using pistols and throwing little purple orbs at people.
Yeah, so I did that in my original playthrough, and that's like a shotgun heavy class because you can.
Yeah, you got to upgrade the pistol before you can get to the shotgun, though.
Oh, do you? Oh, that's right. I forgot they had that. The first one is like this super rigid skill tree.
Yeah, I just unlocked shotguns like 20 minutes before we started recording this.
Nice. Yeah, the first game in particular has a lot of PC idiosyncrasies that have been like carried over from BioWare's legacy as a PC developer. And you see by the time you get to Mass Effect 2, it's a lot more action focused. It's way less role playing, way less, not less role playing, but a different type of role playing, I should say. Okay. And they really get the systems heavy stuff. They make it a lot more palatable to the masses, which is why I think Mass Effect 2 was such a bigger hit than Mass Effect 1 was, because Mass Effect 1, you can definitely see the legacy of PC in there, especially with its wonky controls and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really fucking loving this game though, dude. Like it's really just that character development that you don't see, like, even as a game that came out in 2007, I think.
Yeah, 2007.
Even as something that came out all the way back then, you still don't see that type of world building on that level, and that's not even just that scale, but that detail, that attention to detail on really much of anything that's come out since then.
Yeah, it's like it sprang forth and the universe was completely established already. Like you kind of feel like you're walking into something where every little corner has been planned out and thought of already. And it's so rich that I think that is like what a lot of the appeal of Mass Effect is, and always has been, is it's kind of like Star Wars in that way, where and Mass Effect takes a lot from Star Wars. Is how you come into this world that's completely realized, like it's not one of those clean, pristine places. It's kind of lived in and has like a very almost rough-edged feel to it, where
it's almost like there's some established racism in the government or something.
Right. Something that we probably all know a little bit about.
It hits you with it. It hits you with it straight up. I'm like, man, and it came out 14 years ago. It's like, the established racism.
Times have not changed that much. The further we get, the more we say the same.
Yeah.
So how are you feeling? I know the controls and stuff are a little weird. If you're coming at it from like the Call of Duty, since 2007, same year, Call of Duty established what everyone knows is the control scheme. Like, I don't think if you didn't play games before 2007, you don't know that first-person shooters did not have a codified like way of playing
at all.
You would get like reload on L1 and all kinds.
Dude, I've ran out of grenades like
because you keep trying to reload. Yep. So the crazy thing this changes in Mass Effect 2, but the crazy thing about Mass Effect 1 is there is no reload button.
Yeah, it's just on a cooldown.
It's a cooldown. Yeah. Which does take some getting used to, and I'm doing the same thing. I'm constantly tossing grenades, even though I know better. Like I remember playing this game, and but how are you finding
those buttons are super not mapped right? If they're like, that's one of the things I think they could have changed as far as just like a easy quality of life. I mean, I say easy, but I don't really know what the devs are. I mean, but it looks like really what they did, I think, was take the OG Mass Effect and put a really, really pretty coat of paint on it. And did they do anything? I mean, I know they added FemShep to Mass 1.
Right.
But other than that and the coat of paint, is there any difference at all in the gameplay, in the animations, in anything?
I mean, yeah, they definitely. So the animations have definitely been improved. If you go back and watch the original game that was released, it does not look. I mean, the facial animations are still kind of wonky in this, especially in the first one.
Dude, it's great.
Their facial animations are nuts, and they so. One of the things that I thought they would smooth out is the really weird, awkward scene transitions they have from, like, sometimes there'll be a cut scene or like a dialogue scene, and then it'll transition to like gameplay, but then there'll be like a second or two of like a wide shot that they do, and then it just pauses for a second on that wide shot and then goes back to what
it's like, hold up,
actual gameplay. And you think that something's going to happen, but nothing does. And it just, you would think that they would smooth that stuff out, but it's probably something in the engine they can't. But going back to what you were saying, is that the only thing they added? I went to the menus, and there is something for leveling called, you can do like
I saw
legendary
that.
edition and
Yeah.
original. And it said, I don't remember this, but it said the original game was like levels 1 to 60, and the legacy edition is 1 to 30. So it looks like they squashed the levels a bit.
Mhm.
I imagine that's for like quality of life stuff, because you're just getting too
I mean,
much.
I did notice, like, I saw that as well, and I actually tried to call you yesterday about that. Like, I was gonna call you and be like, "Yo, dude, which one should I do?" Like,
I left it at legacy because I feel like if they did that change, they did it for a reason.
exactly, that's exactly what I did, and but I have noticed that after I do anything at all, I get a shitload of skill points. Like,
yeah, and
like,
that will change. So that they do kind of front load that stuff, because I think they want you to get your powers and your guns and all that stuff right off the bat. And then after they do that, they're, like when you, by the time I feel like you're taking missions where you're going to separate planets and stuff, you're not going to be getting skills constantly like that. Actually, you'll probably finish whole planets without even gaining a level at one point. At least that's how I remember it from back in the day.
okay,
But I do remember them doling them out a little bit heavy in the beginning, and then a little bit less later on.
yeah,
But they definitely, I will say that even though the control scheme is wonky as it is now, it's still 1,000 times less wonky. So they definitely did some work to the controls, because it plays smoother than it did.
okay,
Because so BioWare comes from a PC background, specifically the PC RPGs, CRPGs, and the shooting used to be like a skill based check. They would do a skill check based on your like shooting prowess when you would take a shot, like just
and
because
you might miss,
and you might miss 100%,
just because of your skill check
in the first game, not in this. By the time the second game rolled around, they didn't do that. So they changed that to be more like the second game.
That's almost like a turn-based strategy RPG. Like, what the hell game am I thinking of?
They did that. Alpha Protocol did that. They did
like,
that with
what's the turn-based?
Valkyrie
tactical.
Valkyrie Chronicles.
For some reason, the one that's popping in my head is Mario Luigi Kingdom Battle.
I mean,
but the other one, the space one, the massive
the space XCOM.
XCOM. There it is. There it is. I haven't played that game.
Yes, but so imagine
like an XCOM-y type thing, but in action.
It wasn't more. It was more like an RPG, like a Bethesda game, where you would imagine swinging your sword and it wouldn't connect because your skill check didn't pass.
Yeah.
So you're still doing the action, but you might not necessarily get the hit, right? Mm-hmm. Which if you're a PC player, a longtime PC player, that kind of stuff was just par for the course back then. Even in 2007, when they released Mass Effect, like that's just how things were. You knew that if you didn't have enough points in like that gun, it might miss, and that's what they were going for.
Okay, and there's still even with this game, there are the gun specialties. Like there are like, I'm a specialist in pistols, and I'm starting to become one in shotguns. But I noticed I was trying to use an assault rifle.
Yeah.
And dude, I shoot like 2.5 times, and my gun overheats.
Yeah.
And I totally get it. I understand. I think it's fine. But the first time I did that, I was like, man, what the hell's going on? Like, I'm sitting here just like popping shots off with the pistol, and then like they're a little further away, so I'm like, all right, let me bust out the assault rifle, bust that out, and then immediately just like,
right. And you get that annoying like that noise that pops up.
Yep.
I think
real quick, I'm about to grab another beer.
Okay.
I already finished that one. I'm gonna have another one of these Imperials before I break into round 2. Another.
Okay.
for another spread. All right, I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right. Look at that delicious, chocolatey, fluffernuttery.
Fluffernutter, wow. What a name.
That is a hell of a name. It's a hell of a brewery, though. Brew Bus, me and Amy go there all the time, man. They have an amazing food menu, too. Like, anytime there's a good brewery that's also got, like, dank food
menu, yeah. The Sierra Nevada brewery up in Asheville is like that. They have, like, a 5-star chef working their kitchen, like. But I mean, it's like basically a theme park for beer lovers. So of course they have like an amazing kitchen.
Dude, I cannot believe I used to live in Charlotte, and I used to be a pharma rep up there and go around basically all over North Carolina. And anytime I went to Asheville, I would because you can literally, if you're in Asheville, North Carolina, you throw a rock anywhere, you're hitting a brewery.
Your brewery, yeah.
Dude, and they're just springing up more and more every day.
And they're all pretty good. Like, they're all pretty worth going to.
Yeah. It was really cool. That was like one of my hobbies. Like, I would go to Asheville every Wednesday for work. Wow. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was great. And so every day for lunch, I'd go find another brewery, go get a 6-pack of some beer that I'd never had, try a new beer, and get a pint glass from whatever brewery I went to.
That's sweet.
That was a lot of fun. And I ended up repeatedly going back to Wicked Weed. Dude. And then as I was moving from Charlotte, literally I became a regular there. And the week that I was leaving, I was moving down to Florida. They were like, "Oh yeah, we're getting bought by Anheuser-Busch."
That was the, I mean, at the time, so full background on me, I used to manage a bar for a long time, and
that I also used to work at.
Right. And that Wicked Weed purchase happened, and a lot of the Asheville people were super upset about it because Wicked Weed is very popular in Asheville. And I was kind of like, no, it's great because people that couldn't get it, now they're going to be able to get it and stuff like that. But I will say that since Anheuser-Busch bought them, they have just declined in quality.
It hasn't been great, dude. It used to be so much better. One thing I will say is living down here in Florida, I get Wicked Weed beer. That's whatever. I mean, but at the same time, I get Pernicious.
Yeah, you get the
Lychee Burst.
Shit. Yeah.
And that's it. And and that's what they're distributing, I think, probably throughout where their distro area is.
Well, so if you go to a specialty store, you can probably get some of the cooler.
Yeah, I get some of there's a couple bombers at my store here, but that's it.
Yeah. But I think what when it comes to beer distro and things like that, when something becomes available everywhere, it makes it less special. So once you've had the same, and if you were to go to Wicked Weed, you would never get the Pernicious at the brewery, right? You would always try the new cool shit, and that's always going to be something new and different and whatever. So when you get that massive distro, then you all people can get is the Pernicious or the Wicked or whatever the
Lychee Burst.
Whatever the popular one that Budweiser's trying to sell at the time. And it makes it less special, it makes it less enticing. And after you've had Pernicious 15 times, you're like, well, now I want to try something new. And that's just how beer people are. Unless you just drink a domestic like a Coors or a Mick Ultra all the time, you're constantly looking for new stuff because that's just the world that it is. And if you're not in the Asheville or immediate area around Wicked Weed, you're not getting their Funkatorium stuff. You're not getting their the special stuff.
God, I miss the Funkatorium.
Yeah, the Funkatorium's great.
If you don't know about the Funkatorium, it is one of the first just sour places. You go there and you get some sour ass dank beers, and it's a super cool vibe. And that was why I went there so much when I lived in Charlotte, was because of the Funkatorium.
Yeah.
And that was probably 5 years ago, and then they got bought, and I was like, oh man, what are you guys gonna do? Are you guys gonna be selling Wicked Weed Ultra? What the fuck is going on?
You're not too far off because they do have a low-cal beer now. So
damn it.
I mean, so does Bell's, so does
I guess
every
everybody's
national
doing
brewery is doing that. And it's unfortunate. I don't want to disparage a brewery like that because I think they are cool.
Yeah,
but
I love Wicked Weed, dude. I got a very, very large place in my heart for Wicked Weed. I just, I really enjoyed going there and feeling like I was in a small, special place.
Right. And you can't replicate that now that it's what it is now. It's just not going to be the same, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So anyway, we were talking about Mass Effect.
Yeah. Anyways.
And how you're finding the new game.
Yeah.
So I wanted to touch on. So I have always played these games, and every RPG from Knights of the Old Republic to Skyrim to Mass Effect. I always play Paragon, Paladin, the good route for until I have such a empathy reactive thing that I feel bad if a video game character gets pissed off at me or I hurt
I'm
their
right there
feelings
with you.
or
Hey,
whatever.
what's the other one? Not Paragon. What's the
Renegade.
Renegade? Okay, I was wondering what the hell, because they don't explain any of that system to you. I don't
Not
think.
really, but you see the points pop up.
Yeah,
after
I saw
everything.
like Paragon Point 1 pop up. I just had my
Yeah.
first thing where it was like you can choose to get this guy's wife who was a Marine died on Eden Prime, and he's like, they won't give me your body back, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
So I went and got her body back for me, and it was like Paragon +1 or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've always done the good route, for lack of a better term, and this playthrough, I'm doing Renegade for the first time in any type of RPG like this. So I'm very curious to see how that's going to be, because what I worry about, because sometimes I feel like with the Renegade, the asshole options, that it might cut you out of content because you're kind of like, no, I don't want to do that. And then like, does that cut the quest off? Like, I'm not sure because I've never done it before. I don't think that it would. I don't think they would block you from going down those routes.
Dude. Like nowadays, I don't think they would, but possibly
Back then,
in 2007, that could be like just part of like punishment for being a bad guy.
Right. You know? That's true. That's true. So, I think that'll be an interesting thing to see, like, how that ends up playing out for me. And if I, like, by the time I get to the second game, if I stick with the Renegade path, or if I'm like, no, I can't do that, I got to go back to Paragon. I'm having a hard time hurting these computer AI feelings and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's good for Mass Effect. What else have you been getting into lately?
Well, you know, I'll save Titanfall 2. The brand new game that I don't know if you've ever heard of. Yeah. Titanfall 2. I'll save that one for our little Apex minute. That's going to be one thing we're going to do. We're going to have an Apex minute. It's going to be a thing. That's later. Yeah. Okay. But what I have been playing the shit out of, another brand new game that I don't know if you kids have heard of, is Zelda Breath of the Wild. You ever heard of it?
One of the best releases of 2018, 2017.
Dude, I'm putting my name on it, my stamp. This is my favorite game of all time. It is fucking amazing. And I bought it I bought a Switch day one.
Same.
Bought Zelda day one.
Same.
And I bought a cart. And I played probably about I think I had released 2 of the Divine Beasts, and then I lost the cart. And and that game never goes on sale ever.
No, Nintendo fucking it'll go on sale for $50, so you get $10 off of it.
Fuck that, dude. I was always like, I've got this cart somewhere around here. It's somewhere. I'm gonna find it one day. And so for years, until like a few months ago, I could not find this cart. And I've got like 2 different huge Switch cases for like all my little like docks and chargers, and like it's a really cool thing. But I've got like several cart cases and things like that, and it was not in any of them. I've looked all over my whole house. Then a few months ago, Amy was like, "Hey Adam, found your Zelda game." I'm like, what? And where'd you find it? Oh, it was just sitting on your nightstand.
What?
Also, my house is haunted.
Okay.
Like, that's the only explanation. My house is haunted. I've literally cleaned dude, I keep my house clean. Like, my nightstand was clean. I don't know what the hell. Anyway,
maybe it was under your lamp light, like it like slid out from underneath that thing.
That's the only thing I can think of, dude. But regardless,
I had a similar thing like that a couple of years ago. I bought the remake of Metroid 2, the Samus Returns. It was for the 3DS.
Yeah. Was that the one with like the 2.5D?
Yeah, and it's so good. So I played through like, a couple hours of it, and then like I, took the cartridge out and started playing something else, and I could not find that cartridge for the life of me. And like I was this close to buying it again because I love Metroids and I love that game. And I don't remember what I was doing, but I opened up like a case of something, and it wasn't in the spot. It was like behind the booklet. And I think what had happened was I had like just set it in there, and then closed it up when I put the other game in, God. And it like slid behind the book. And when it popped out, I was like, oh my God, this is like a Christmas present, like all of a sudden I've got this game again.
Yep. Dude, I'm telling you, it has been 3 years since I played Zelda. And a game that I have been longing for and knew that I would love.
Oh yeah, it's a fantastic game.
finally got it back, dude, and I am absolutely playing the shit out of it. I have put probably about altogether, actually not altogether, since I've started playing again, I've probably put about 60 hours in.
Wow. Did you
And
start over?
yeah.
Nice. Yeah, you have to. I feel
Had
like you have to.
yeah, definitely started over. I've got all the divine beasts unlocked. Now there's 120 shrines. I think I've done 64 of them.
Yeah, I think I had when I beat it. I think I was at like 88 or something like that, and I was like, I'm not doing any like to find them is like the hardest part. So
it's so fun though. It's so
it's fun. It's just
Dude,
it gets tiring after a while.
I just feel like there's always somewhere new for me to go that like there's something around that corner. Like there's something like I thought like so I've done all of the divine beasts. I've done a ton of the side. I think I've done all the side quests that I found. And I'm still finding, even though this map is completely covered in icons of shit that I have found, like I'm still finding new stables. And then when you get to the stable, there's always a shrine quest there usually.
Yep.
And then like I did we were talking about the other day, the Eventide Island.
Yes,
which basically, holy shit. And that's something you could completely miss.
I missed it until I think Austin on the Beastcast was like, yo, have you seen this Eventide Island? And I was like, I gotta go find that.
Dude, it was so I saw it float. You just see it floating out.
Yeah, it's like water. Super far out because I think I saw it and I was like, you can't. That's just one of those like skybox things. You can't reach that. But,
you have to can't. Like the first thing I did, because I knew the first time I played this game, I didn't know that you need 13 heart containers to get the Master Sword. Otherwise, you're gonna die when you try to pull the Master Sword out. Yeah. So the first time I tried to play this game, I got to the Master Sword spot and I did all the Korok challenges. And I assumed that once I did the Korok challenges, I would be able to get the Master Sword.
Right.
But I still didn't have enough heart pieces. And I was so fucking pissed. And I was like, dude, I'm not going to go around and find 20. Because I'd been putting all of my points into stamina because I wanted to fly around everywhere.
Right.
So I only had like 7 or 8 heart containers. And I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Yep. But so that pissed me off. But then knowing that the second time, the first thing I did with all my points was put them straight in the hearts. Pump your
hearts so you can go get the Master Sword.
Yep. So then I went and got the Master Sword, and then I started dumping stuff into stamina. And then I finally got enough stamina to reach Eventide without having to use like a stamina potion.
Right.
And dude, getting out there, I didn't know. I know you said you were listening to like Austin Walker and the Bombcast or the Beastcast talk about it.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that episode, or I didn't remember it, but I got out to Eventide and it was like,
yeah.
It's like, what the fuck? And it's like, we're gonna
test you.
You must be naked for this test. We're gonna take away all your stuff, and you've got to find it. Good luck, bitch. And I'm like, oh shit.
I feel like Nintendo should have added the bitch part. I think that would have like added a little bit of layer of modern hipness to it if they'd have gone down that route.
Good luck, pussy.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that what I love about that game in particular is the way that you can, like, it doesn't lead your hand by any means. It's the, I don't remember, somebody probably already said this, but it's the antithesis of the Ubisoft open world game where these thousands of icons pop up on your map, because literally almost everything that you see on your map, you have to put there. You put your little, thing. And I had this like whole elaborate system worked out where this color like dot meant this thing and this color dot meant another thing. And like I could see it out in the
distance. Dude, you go crazy doing that shit. I did the same thing. It's great.
Yeah, it's so cool. And I can't believe that no other like open world series has adopted this format yet, because I think it's so much more exciting than the Assassin's Creed or Division style of like, hey, here's an icon, that means it's a mission, just go there and do it. And Red Dead 2 kind of had some of that stuff where you would walk into a mission that you didn't know was there already, or there was a lot of like emergent stuff that happened in that game, but it still wasn't quite what Breath of the Wild did, which was basically, here's a ginormous playground. We're not going to tell you anything about, here's these 4 locations on the map, here's the final castle, but beyond that, like, you got to discover everything.
Let's go have fun.
And they're so good at leading you to everything by just having you like by using stuff on the map or using stuff in the visuals to say, hey, come here and check this out, like Eventide, which is this like floating island thing. Like you see that and you're like, I gotta go fucking check that out. Like otherwise you're, they're so good at saying like, this isn't just like a dull, part that looks like any other part of the environment. This is like a brand new thing, and it clearly sticks out to somebody who's playing it. And I think that's what's so brilliant about the design of that game is that they're not saying like, they don't use the map to get you there. They use the actual environment to get you there, which is so cool and so unique.
But the map, I think, definitely does work hand in hand with that, because there's like at one point, because I'm basically stalling now. I could go beat Ganon tonight if I wanted to.
Right.
But I'm having too much fun. I'm going around. I'm getting all the Korok seeds. I'm getting all the shrines. It's way too much fun for me to end it right now.
Right.
But one thing I'm doing now that I've got this map all filled out, I'm looking for like little tiny points on the map where it's like, if it's just any kind of different topography, there's something there. Yeah, there's something 100%. There. And I just mark it on the map and go over there. And usually, dude, I found some ancient ruins with like some 50-foot tall statues with like a lightning god or something that was just there, just hidden in a corner. I'm like, what the fuck? This would be in any other game. This would be a huge moment that is like a set piece moment that is one of the few that people can talk about. But there are so many different set pieces in Zelda just there for the taking as the world that there's so many of them that it's hard to just like talk about them individually.
Yeah. And a lot of those are best like experienced without actually having known about them beforehand, or like you stumble upon that stuff and it's that much more exciting because you feel like it's happening to you as opposed to like you went and sought it out because you heard about it or you read about it or something.
Just like Eventide. And then there was also this by the way, spoilers for Breath of the Wild
4-year-old game.
Also spoilers for Mass Effect and a couple other games. But
we're gonna talk about RE Village, but I will not be spoiling that.
Yeah, don't spoil that because I haven't even touched it yet. But there was another one. What was the other one? Like this maze, like in the northwestern area of the map, that's like toward the edge. Like a big ass labyrinth, and you just get there, and again, it's like, hey, bitch. welcome to the labyrinth. And it's like those are the only two places. There might have been one more. There's been 3 or 4 places that like, when you go into the shrine, that's whenever you get that like notification that's like, welcome to the shrine. But just out in the world, when you come across like that noise and that notification out in the world, that's when some shit's about to go down. Right. It's about to be cool.
Yeah.
You need to do it.
Yeah.
And there's a ton of different stuff also that like you like as far as equipment goes that you could totally not get and you could totally beat the game without it.
Right.
But the struggle and the action of procuring it and then being able to use it later is so gratifying. For example, the biggest one is the Thunder Helm for me. I don't know if you remember that. That was in Gerudo Desert. And you have to basically solve all the town's problems. And then she'll let you use like it's like a bunch of really dumb fetch quests, but whatever.
That feels like a reaction or like a response to like the usual JRPG style of like going to a town and then like everyone has these problems that do not matter at all to the quest you're doing.
It's like the one girl's like,
solve it.
The one girl's like, I'm trying to plant a garden and someone's throwing trash in the water.
Is that the one where you have to get the paint for that guy?
No, that one you have to.
God, I hated
you have
that
to go
so
get
much.
berries. You have to go get wild berries for this lady who's eating hydromelon on top of a waterfall, so that she'll stop eating the hydromelon and throwing the rind into the waterfall.
Into the water. That's right. Yeah. There's some quests in one of the villages where you have to like help this guy like plan a party or do something like that, and he needs like. He's dyeing something, like I think he's dyeing like these like streamers or these like some kind of cloth, and you have to help him get the dye for it. And it's the most annoying thing in that entire game because I couldn't figure out where I was supposed to go. I couldn't figure out what I was supposed to do. And I was like, why am I doing it? I'm trying to save the fucking world. Like, why the fuck am I trying to get you this stupid ass die that I know that you're like, you could probably go do yourself if you just got off your ass and left like the village, you know?
This man needs turquoise.
It really is something very similar to that. So yeah, I love that game, and I'm glad that you're getting into
One
it.
last thing about the Thunderhelm, because it was so cool. So you know how I said it was a really dumb kind of quest situation to get that stuff, but you do it and then you get this Thunderhelm. It's like it makes you completely impervious to lightning.
To lightning, yep.
Which is huge in that game.
Especially in that section like what you were talking about where the lightning's like constantly crashing down.
With the 50-foot tall statues and like you got to get the orbs and throw them in. Yeah, so like not even 2 or 3 hours later was when I came across that area. Mm-hmm. And so like I was like, oh shit, I got what I need right here.
Yeah,
and it was fandom. Dude, so perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, I think people know that Zelda's a pretty good game. So what else you been playing there, Travis?
So I just played and beat RE Village, which is the new Resident Evil game. Resident Evil 8, I guess. I don't really know how the marketing is kind of weird on that one. I am a huge Resident Evil fan. I've beaten every single Resident Evil, including most of the side ones like Survivor and what was the Revelations and all those games. I beat the remakes. I haven't beat Zero. I tried to play that not too long ago and I couldn't really get into it. But the first remake and the second remake are both incredible, even though they're very different because RE2 remake is like behind the back and RE1 remake is basically just a really pretty version of the original game.
Okay.
So I'm like a huge Resident Evil fan.
I'm not. Just throwing that out there. I really have never cared about Resident Evil.
But
I do enjoy hearing about it. So
you played 7 though, because I remember you
told me.
You played 7 and you played it in VR, right?
I've played half of 7 in VR and I'm too pussy
scared to go on.
Can't do it, man. There's like this old lady rolling around in a wheelchair, like.
Yeah, and that old lady comes into play a lot in that story. So this
I guess I'm never playing that again.
This is a direct continuation of that game. It is 100% basically goes from the end of 7 right into 8, and so you're still playing as the same character, Ethan, who's kind of a dipshit. He's his reaction to everything is very strange. Like he seems like he just kind of takes it in stride, but also has like the most like ridiculous responses to things. Like he sees he's already seen the most incredible shit in 7. You know, he was hunted down by this.
His wife, the very beginning of that was just kind of.
Yeah, she like chops his fingers off or his hand off.
She stabs him in the hand with a screwdriver.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And then cuts his hand off.
Yeah, and then so he's already gone through the most crazy shit or the craziest shit ever. And then in 8, he's still looking at things like that can't be right. It's like, bro, like you fought mold monsters like literally a year ago. Like, what do you mean? How does this?
That's my favorite reaction to like sequel like stupid shit. Like, there's no way this is possible.
Or the way that they're like, this can't be happening again. And it's like, well, I think we covered that in Die Hard that this absolutely can happen to the same person over and over again.
Yeah.
So you pick up as Ethan, and then Chris Redfield is in it, and kind of the whole time I kind of spent like wishing I was just playing as Chris Redfield because he's such. Like, first of all, he's a legacy character, so you already have an attachment to him. But also, he's just like doesn't give a shit, and he's like shooting people that don't really, if they get in his way, and like he's just a much cooler character. Ethan's supposed to be like an everyman, but I think they go too far in like trying to make him like that to the point where he's kind of like I said, a dipshit. Mm-hmm. And he takes everything in such stride, though, that by the time that you're done with his character, he kind of becomes endearing to you because he gets his hand chopped off at some point, again, in this game too, and just reattaches it with his magic tonic shit. And he just keeps on, like, it almost like he cocks it like a gun and just keeps on going. Like,
thank God, that bone tonic.
Yeah, just reattaches, and then he keeps going. But what I like about this game so much is that they do there's always something. They've gotten the carrot on a stick style of gameplay down to a T. You're always opening something new. You're always getting a new item that opens up a new path and leads you down somewhere else. And you're constantly finding new stuff to do. And it's so fun. And so like it was 12 hours of gameplay and I blew through it so fast.
How do you feel about them staying away from third person? Because I know that was like a big part of Resident Evil was the third person aspect of it. And now they've basically gone more in a first person shooter direction now for 2 games. How do you feel about that?
So Resident Evil 4 is one of my favorite games of all time. I love that game, and I think that that game is what established what we think of as like the behind the back third person shooter style gameplay. Even though you couldn't move at the same time and shoot, but like it is basically like the first game to do that style of game like that, and it was so good. I played it through recently, and it still holds up very, very well. So I miss that. I think there's a lot you can do in first person for pure horror stuff. PT is a great example of doing that kind of horror straight up. Like doing it in first person is one of the scariest things that I think you can do. But
except for VR.
Well,
except for
even
VR,
better,
dude.
and better, it's even better in VR. But if it's first person VR, that's going to be more compelling than like third person.
Dude, RE7, fuck that. I remember the first time. Sorry to cut you off. I like your University of California glass.
Oh yeah,
it's pretty nice.
Repping the college there.
But I remember the first time I tried VR was when I was living in Savannah, and I came up to South Carolina to Columbia, back to the old stomping grounds, and you're like, dude, I just got this VR. You got to come check it out.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing we played was that London Heist game.
Yeah.
And then
the demo disc.
Yep, it was the demo disc. And then the second thing we played was you just were like, just go into Resident Evil. Just go check it out. I'd never seen hide nor hair of Resident Evil 7 hardly. Definitely not in VR, and just I hadn't played it at all. That's for damn sure. And I threw on the helmet and put it on and went in. And dude, that was one of the scariest fucking things that I have ever experienced. And I bought the game, and now I have it on my PSVR, and playing through it again the second time, same shit. I already know what's happening.
Still terrifying,
dude. I still don't want to go down those fucking stairs. It's like a whole lot of me standing at the end of a hallway
and being like, nope,
and just being like, all right, can I please just turn the fuck around and go home?
Nope.
With the old lady rolling around in a wheelchair. Like, I'm on like a 2-foot tall couch right now. Like, this couch is super low to the ground. I am literally like in the fetal position, like beside the couch.
Yeah, trying to get the. So I feel like we should use that to talk about Sony's next gen VR plans.
Yeah, sure.
We know that the new headset is coming, and it's going to use positional tracking instead of using the camera. Because I will say, I have the PSVR. You like you said, you played it at my house. I cannot stand setting that thing up. It is one of the most. Awful. It's one of the most maddening things because I have to. I don't have the I have to set. I don't have the HDMI pass through, so I don't get HDR if it's hooked up to my TV. So just setting it up is just such a huge pain in the ass, and it's like it's got the 1, 2, 3, 4, like labels on it, and you have to find like the right.
Yeah, if I didn't have the one that has the HDMI pass through, like I hate to even say like generational, but it's like almost it's that. As far as cables go, it's that much of a fucking gap.
It really is.
It's G1 is like you have to, if you want HDMI or not HDMI, if you want HDR, you're gonna have a lot of work to do every single time you want to play PSVR.
Yep.
Mine fortunately has that pass-through box, and I just keep it plugged in my game room. But with the next generation, it's like I think I've got one cable that goes into the PlayStation, and then I've got like 40 that go out of it and into the box and all this stuff. But the next one I think is going to be just one cable, USB-C, straight into
that front. Yep, that's what they're saying. And also, you're not going to have to set up a camera, so your positional tracking will be done software side.
I can't wait.
So you're not gonna have to sit on that like 3-foot bench that takes you down to the like, because my living room is not the biggest thing in the world. Like my house is wonky with its dimensions, and the living room seems like it was like cut in half by somebody when they were designing this thing. So like it's always a constant struggle for me trying to like get enough space for the.
You talking about like in between the living room and the kitchen?
well, like just in general, like you know how my porch has like it's like the fucking size of the living room,
Yeah.
and then like the living room is like this little contained area, and then there's the kitchen right behind that. So like getting space is like a big concern with VR right now, mostly because of the cameras that are involved with it, right? So like even if you have like a Vive, you've got to set the towers up and you know do all that stuff, and that kind of like that barrier to entry, I think is what's keeping VR from the mainstream. Because I went to, so I was drinking with some friends not too long ago, and we went to one of our friends' apartments, and this girl had a Quest, and she was like, I know, I was like, she was like, do you like VR? And I was like, yeah, I'm like, I have a PSVR, and she's like, do you know what the Quest is? I was like, fuck yeah. And she was like, do you want to try this?
Did you get to draw the box around yourself?
Yes, I did. And
I'm jealous. I've always wanted to draw the box.
So the box was cool. It was so easy to set because I was like half hammered when I did this and set it up, and like it just kept on going.
Hammered.
I was fully
fucking
plastered. So this was like 1 o'clock in the morning.
I know you and your drunk VR sessions.
And then I did Beat Saber. So I will preface this by saying I watched her do Beat Saber first, and she destroyed it. Which granted, it's her game. She was very good at it. And I was like, I can do this, blah, blah. And I've never played Beat Saber before, even though I've wanted to. I don't. Yeah, it's great.
Get it.
And I'm just like drunk, and I'm like, womp, 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 like flailing around. But it was so much fun. And like the difference between setting that up and setting like the PSVR up was like night and day. And you can see.
Dude, you can play it anywhere.
Yeah. And you
like,
can
that's
see
the thing.
The ease of it is what definitely drove this person to get it in the first place. And she was able to, I mean, it was like 4 drunk girls and me, and they were able to do all this and just set it up and use it like it was absolutely nothing. And I mean, I was hammered as shit, and I still got through the thing. And I guarantee you, I've tried to set up the PSVR hammered before, and that shit is not I've literally, I remember sitting in the floor one time, like I had the 2 cords, like the things in my hand, and I was like, which one goes to the? I don't know what I'm doing here. And like,
eventually, it's like we're not playing VR.
We're not playing VR. We're gonna play PT again.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah,
I would love to see you trying to set that up hammered drunk.
It sucked. So I think with Sony's new approach to VR, which I think is definitely the way to go, which is simplicity.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be the main. Deal breaker.
Yeah, I mean, people are bitching about the having one cable, but honestly, if you really want a powerful VR system from Sony, you're not gonna get a separate thing, and like that's just unreasonable to even think that you would.
You mean like not being wireless,
like a Quest type thing? Yeah, completely wireless, and all it is one freaking USB-C.
I mean, if you came from this previous, I do think that people who say that it's not going to be like super mainstream until it's cordless, I think that's true. But I also think this will be even more mainstream than the PSVR was. And the PSVR was very popular, and the Quest is even more popular. So like, I think you're definitely seeing like people coming around on it. And I think this will break that barrier even further. I mean, like if you came from where we were when we were setting up PSVR back in, 2017 or whatever, and now it's just one cord, and you just plug it in. Like you're like, oh man, this is like night and day compared to.
I remember opening that box, and like
it's got like the 17 different little boxes inside of it,
and I was like, ooh, like a Lego set. Like
yeah, exactly. They're all labeled like bag number 1, bag number 2, bag number 3.
Dude, it literally like was it looked like a big kid's Lego set. So like somebody like me, I was super down, like, ooh, yeah, let's tinker with all this fucking weird shit and just put it all together and see what happens. But the
15th time you do that, it's like, I don't really want to do that anymore.
But I only had to do it one time. I've got the one with the HDR pass through, which is like, if I didn't have that, I'd be right there with you. I wouldn't ever set it up unless it was like my mom came to town and wanted to try Resident Evil. Like, then it would be a different story.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, getting Barbie Gogan on Beat Saber was one of the greatest things I've ever seen.
I bet. I can imagine your mom playing that. Was very, very fun.
Yeah. Especially after giving her like 4 or 5
Did she put her hand through the TV?
We're cutting this part. We're cutting this part.
We're not going to talk about Barbie Gogan on air.
Yeah. Nope.
All right, let's move back to
Hey, well, real quick, you want to take a little bathroom break?
Yeah, let's get a bathroom break going, and
I'm gonna keep recording, but we'll just cut this out. Okay. All right, welcome back, everybody, to the gaming.
I hate this lighting. You can't see my actual beers.
To the gaming and drinking podcast. Just had to take a little break real quick, but we went to go.
I got my
next beers
collection of crushed beers back here.
I got mine over here. I've also busted out the bourbon for.
Oh, nice. It's about to get fucking weird. So what are you drinking?
I am drinking the Florida Avenue Brewing Company in Tampa as well. It's called Passion of the Heights. This is their flagship. It is a hibiscus wheat ale, and it is delicious.
What's the ABV on that?
I don't think it's much.
5.4, 4.5?
4.5, I want to say. 4.7.
Nice.
4.7. So it's a decent alcohol content, but not crazy like that Imperial Stout I was just drinking.
I'm going in the opposite direction. This is Old Hickory Shere Khan, and it is a barrel-aged IPA, which I have never had before. I've never had this beer, and I've also never had a barrel-aged IPA.
Barrel-aged IPA, okay.
It's a barrel-aged IPA aged in whiskey and gin barrels. And now this is Old Hickory is one of the first craft breweries.
Dude, it's like they took like everything and they were like,
let's just do it. I usually like this types of beers.
Yeah, me too.
This is out of Hickory, North Carolina, another North Carolina beer. This is one of my company represents. They are a cool little town. Fantastic brewery. One of the first ones to do it and still going strong, and they are amazing. Definitely check them out.
What's the brewery called?
Old Hickory.
I think I might have gone there. I can't remember. That was part of my territory too. But cheers, brother. Cheers to the Gaming and Drinking podcast.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Oh my God, that's good.
Dude, it's like, it's so flowery. It's literally like, I feel like I'm drinking a flower.
I have a hibiscus sour that I sell that's kind of like that. This is let's see what the ABV on this thing is. It's barrel-aged and it's an IPA, so I assume it's pretty high.
Yeah. I'm going to guess 9.8.
13.3.
Should have known. I should have known.
All right, sweet. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah. But the reason I busted out the bourbon for you audio listeners, I'm sorry, I'm about to show something on video that you can't see, obviously, because you're listening and not watching. But Amy just went on a trip and she came back and she's like, "Hey, I got you something. It's in that little bag over there." Mm-hmm. It's.
Oh, nice.
I was like I don't know. It's like a bathtub for my bourbon.
I was going to say that looks like a bathtub. Is that from Beauty and the Beast or something?
It's from a thrift store.
Oh,
and
better.
I'm about to drink a giant glass of bourbon out of it in a few minutes.
Nice.
Yeah.
So we'll probably be at the same location later on. Just we're getting there in a different way.
Yeah, exactly. So I know we've kind of been going on about a few things that we played. I kind of want to just touch lightly on another thing I've been playing, which also, dude, I don't know if you know this or not. Mm-hmm. I like Zelda.
I can tell by your shirt.
Yeah, I'm playing. Actually, not even the full game. I downloaded the demo of Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity, because I dig the story in Breath of the Wild so much that like I know that I've pretty much completed the story except for beating Ganon, and I was like, I want to go back and see Mipha and all them.
These characters.
Yeah, dude. And the very first thing, like I've never played a Muso that I liked. Just throwing that out there.
Same. Like, just not attracted to that style of game at all.
I've played them. I've hated them, but this is the first one that I've ever played, and I'm like, I might buy this. I might buy that game, like, because not really for the Muso aspects, which I mean, it's fine, whatever. I'm fighting hundreds of bokoblins at a time or whatever.
Something you would never see in the original regular game either.
No.
But this is set before, right? This is a prequel.
It's
to that story,
It's the Age of Calamity. It's like, so Link went to sleep for 100 years
and you're doing
and
all
woke
this
up and Breath of the Wild happened. This is what happened 100 years prior
to that, before he went to sleep, right?
when Calamity Ganon took over.
Yeah. And you get to play as like the different heroes you meet in Breath of the Wild, right?
Dude, yeah. So the coolest, I mean, I haven't played, I think I've only played like 2 main missions in there, but in the very first mission, dude, I got like I was hype there for a second. Like, because you're sitting there fighting and then it's like press up to change characters and you press up and change characters. And in Breath of the Wild, let me preface with this. In Breath of the Wild, there's a character named Lady Impa, and she's like this super old Sheikah lady, and she just sits on her like tower of like 5 pillows with her big hat, and she's like, "You've got to save Zelda." But in this, she's like this young whippersnapper.
Very good. By the way, if you stick around with us for a while, you will get to hear more of Adam's impressions of other voice actors, and they are incredibly bad. Like all of them across the board are just nothing at all like the character that they are supposed to sound like.
They're amazing, and Lady Impa sounds just like that. But no, in the Age of Calamity, you transfer camera over to her, and it's like this young, skinny but like cut girl, and like instead of this old frail lady, and dude, she can like make like multiple copies of herself and like go around and like do all this crazy ninja shit, and I'm like, dude, now I get to see Impa fighting like way before,
like in her prime.
Yeah, it's like, and it's like this super cool story beat that you don't get from playing Breath of the Wild. And then also to be able to go back and then, because in Breath of the Wild, you have the champions, but they're all like, yeah, Ganon messed us up. You gotta. That's how the Goron guy sounds too, by the way.
That's very spot on impression.
he messed me up, man. You got to go get the Divine Beast. But now in this one, you get to go back and see him just fuck shit up, and it's awesome. So, anyways, that's my Hyrule Warriors moment of the day.
Fantastic. I am interested in that game. I played the same demo that you're talking about. And it was compelling. I did find myself, even by the end of just the demo, being like, I kind of hate this gameplay. I love the art stuff. The graphics in that game are amazing. Like it's just Breath of the Wild, but with slightly more action, I guess. It also runs like shit on the Switch. Like I didn't
notice that.
Oh, there's a shit. Did you play it docked or not docked?
I played both.
Okay, pay attention to the frame rate next time. Like I think you'll see like it runs like garbage.
A couple of hitches, but nothing crazy.
I don't know. I think I'm a little more sensitive to that kind of stuff than you are, because I feel like when we talk about this, I'm always like, I think it kind of ran like shit. And you're like, I didn't notice that. So I think maybe it's just that's probably just me.
I think I just get wrapped up in what's going on and not paying attention to the smaller stuff like that.
But I will say, I kind of wish that instead of doing like a Muso game, if they'd have just gone down like my dream for what they could have done with Breath of the Wild as like a universe was, I'm so excited about Breath of the Wild too. Like I think that's going to be super cool. But if they could have done like a traditional Zelda type game, like an Ocarina of Time, but with the engine of Breath of the Wild, like maybe less freeform and a little more focused on like, you got to have this item and go in this dungeon and do, like the classic style.
Yeah, classic
like
Zelda,
like a side story of that style. I think
that would be fun.
Super cool. That's what I wanted, really, instead of doing like a Muso game. But I get that like Koei Tecmo did this and it wasn't Nintendo, so it's not like they used their internal people to make it. It's not like they took people off Breath of the Wild.
Koei Tecmo just was like, hey, you want us to do this? They're like, yeah, go ahead, why not? Because I mean,
exactly,
it wasn't, I don't think, a big decision really, because they had already done the first Hyrule Warriors.
Right.
And so it was kind of a given, I think, that they, with the success of Breath of the Wild,
and the success of the original Hyrule Warriors.
Exactly, would capitalize and do that. But I do dig the story. Yeah. Although I am a little confused by the little mini egg Sheikah thing. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
The little egg with legs. That's like the thing that causes the towers to rise up.
It's been a while since I played this demo, so I don't remember. So, I remember there's like a mini
it's a mini, it's a God, a guardian, mini guardian.
Mini guardian, yeah.
Yeah, that's
So,
what I'm talking about. It's a little mini guardian. Yeah, he's
why'd
like
you
a little,
say egg?
because he looks like an egg. He doesn't even. He's not.
No,
He's white. He's white like an egg.
And
He's white like an egg. He's
I
shaped
remember
like an
so
egg.
the mini guardian like causes the whole mishap that causes you sends you because the basic premise of the game is you go back in time, right? Like he opens up a portal and you go back and yeah, that's what it happens in the first like 3 minutes of the game. He does something fucked up and like everyone's dying.
Oh,
he,
the
like,
guardian. The guardian goes back, not Link.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you meant
you as in the guardian goes back in time.
I thought you meant Link goes back in time.
No.
That doesn't sound right. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know how I feel about that part of the story.
I think I mean, they basically just ripped off BB-8.
Cute. He's cute as hell. Yeah, he's like BB-8 and R2 had a cute little baby.
Yeah.
But I like how cute he is. I like that he only like will hang out with Zelda. That's pretty fun.
Yeah, that's
but as far as like a aspect of the story, it's kind of so out of left field for where the Zelda story was that I'm like, whatever. But anyways, I digress. What else you been playing there?
So I think we can go right into our
have we been going on about what we're playing for a while?
Yeah, it's been a minute. So let's go to let's do our Apex corner because I think there's a lot to talk about with the new season launch.
Yeah.
So for people who don't play Apex or don't keep up with this stuff, Apex season 9 just launched, and there's a new character like there always is. They did some stuff to the newest map that they've created, Elysium, and it is. Oh, and they also added a brand new mode, which is the first of its type in Apex since they launched, and it's a very big deal. It's also incredibly fun.
Yeah, they've done a lot of LTMs and stuff.
Yes,
but this is the first like permanent. This is a permanent game mode.
Yeah,
like which is huge for like as far as battle royales go. I can't think of another one that has straight up said, "All right, we're gonna add another game mode that's another PvP mode that's not battle royale."
I think so. Most games that are in the battle royale genre have come from like
other genres.
Other genres like Fortnite was a builder and basically Minecraft.
Do you remember how much shit we used to talk about Fortnite when they were trying to like when PUBG came around? It was like so huge, and then it's like, did you hear what Fortnite's doing? And we were like, dude, fuck them! Like, there's no way they're gonna like actually like take that space.
And then they became the most popular game in the world, and fuck us.
Now they print their money.
Yeah. So yeah, most games come from the other side, and it's funny because Apex is kind of like back ending into the other space. They're saying we're a battle royale, and now we're gonna have a 3v3 mode. Which, if you're Call of Duty, you were a 3v3 mode or team-based mode, and then you came into battle royale. So now this game is just doing the opposite of that. What I like about this mode, though, is it's Counter-Strike, but way less intense, I guess. There's not as much pressure. It's a little more relaxed, a little better progression. I feel like it doesn't feel as rigid as Counter-Strike, because I played Counter-Strike back in the day, and it always felt too rigid for me. It always felt too structured.
I never played Counter-Strike because I never was a PC gamer. But I was interested, and I watched a lot of videos on it. And from one of the things I noticed in Counter-Strike is that when you're shooting in Counter-Strike, you don't move at all while you shoot. You stand still and you shoot your gun and then you run.
Yeah.
Which is the total opposite of Apex. And I think that's one thing you might mean by rigid is like all the way down to even to the movement is like you are literally running, standing, standing.
It's much more military, like realistic shooter focused than Apex is.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, this new game mode, man, holy shit, it's great.
Very quick.
Very quick, and it's not only just the game mode, it's all the other stuff that they also brought in with Valkyrie, which is the new character, and the Bocek bow, which is the coolest new weapon that they've had that they've ever done as far as like usability right off the bat. Because they for some reason they always do a sniper rifle. They did the Sentinel. They did the I guess the 30-30 is not technically a it's a
sniper
marksman.
rifle,
It's a marksman.
But it's people use it like a sniper rifle, and people
Yeah.
use the bow like a sniper rifle too.
Although it's a
It's
little harder at that type of range. Like you can get the 2x, I think is the highest. No, you can
no,
do
you
the
can do
3x.
3x. Yeah,
Dude, that thing with a 3x scope.
it's almost unfair. But what I like about it is that it doesn't feel the 30-30 from the rip felt a little off balance. Like if you can get headshots with the 30-30, you are basically demolishing people.
Yeah.
But the Bocek has a little more give and take with it. I think it's a lot more balanced of a weapon, and it is also, maybe it's just because it's a new type of ammo and new type of thing that we've never done before, but it is incredibly satisfying to hit people with it. Not the sound effect that it makes with the thunk and the like, the way that you can, like, it has like a really good feedback to the character when they get hit. I think it's a very satisfying weapon to shoot, and I think that's what keeps me coming back to it maybe a little more than I would if it were a different type of weapon.
Yeah, and it's really reminiscent. They picked a good season to bring it out because they took away the gun that was the most satisfying to headshot people with before, which was the triple take.
Yeah.
That gun, like, you charge it up for like a second and a half, and then you can just blow somebody's freaking head off.
Yeah.
And it's
now
got a pretty forgiving aim on it because it's got the 3 spread shot.
Right.
But I would have been more pissed about the triple take being taken if they hadn't replaced it with something as cool as the Bocek.
Yeah.
Like the Bocek, a headshot with a Bocek, dude, is like might be more satisfying than the triple take, to be honest with you. Yeah. Yesterday, so we've got several other friends that we're going to bring on as guests at some point that we play games with, like Apex and Overwatch and stuff like that. It's just for so Apex Corner. I know Travis is like, this is our Apex Corner. On another note, Apex Corner or Apex Talk, we're going to workshop it.
Yeah.
But
this is episode 0.
Yeah.
We're flying by the seat of our pants.
We got an Apex. We want to have an Apex Legends segment because we play so much Apex Legends. Yeah. But we've got a lot of friends that play that game with us who are a lot better than we are at that game.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to bring them on and have them talk about it as well. But I was playing with one of those guys yesterday. I was playing with Rich. We were playing a duos match, and we third-partied this team that had just they were in the middle of a fight. And dude, I came in with the Bocek, and literally it was duos. So I one shot, boom, knocked one guy. One shot, boom, knocked the other guy. They were both dead.
Damn, that's awesome.
And I was like, holy shit, Rich, did you see that? And Rich was drunk as shit. So he's like, yeah, dude.
Was this last night when he was sending those those messages were so funny. I was cracking. I've just hit that perfect drunk after you take, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was good. So yeah, so how do you feel about Valkyrie?
She, dude, it seems like every time they bring in a new character, I don't know if this is just my ADD or what, but every time they bring in a new character lately, I've been like, this is my new favorite character. Yeah. Like, it happened with Horizon, it happened with Fuse, it happened with Valkyrie now. Mm-hmm. Actually, Fuse wasn't really my favorite. Horizon was still my favorite, but the level of the character design that they've brought into these new characters the last few seasons has just been stellar.
Yeah. And
Valkyrie is just kind of a culmination of a lot of different things that bring it all together. You've got Titanfall, you got the Titanfall lore coming into it, which is like something we've all been waiting for. You've got the mobility of flying, which, holy shit.
Yeah.
You're playing a Respawn game, which already has the best mobility of any first-person shooter out there. Then you're bringing in this new aspect, which they've crushed once again with the flight. And then you've also got a rocket barrage, which was it's really reminiscent to me of Fuse's as far as Fuse's tactical, as far as its use case goes.
Yeah.
Because you can use it to do damage, but you're really, I use it more for position and zoning than anything else. But you've got all those things coming together with Valkyrie that just make her, I don't want to say OP because I feel like every new character that comes out, everyone always says this character's OP.
Is OP, yeah. Even though they're 100% not.
Yeah, I don't think she is.
Almost any time.
I don't think she's OP because she's got weaknesses. When she's flying, she's completely vulnerable.
Yeah.
when you use her ult, she's completely vulnerable and standing still on the ground.
Yeah.
But
when you use her tactical, if you float in the air, when you use it, you can hold it down and just float indefinitely, but you can't move. So it's not like you can like use it to float and position yourself.
Yeah, you can't float indefinitely and shoot either. You're floating.
Yeah, exactly.
You're just floating, which is really puts you at a disadvantage when it comes to if there's anyone aiming at you
at all. Yeah.
So she's got her weaknesses. I don't think she's OP, but she's a hell of a lot of fun to play, man.
She is fun. Yeah, I completely agree. I think that I love Fuse. Fuse is one of my favorite new characters. I think she combines the verticality of Horizon with the explosiveness of Fuse, and I think that makes her very, very compelling. I think that they've kind of gotten what people like out of Apex, which is the movement combined with this like sense that you can kind of like get people out of positioning with a multitude of different ways. Like you can use grenades, you can use, a sniper rifle, or you can use something like Fuse's tactical or her tactical. And people can't really huddle down and just camp or, wait on other people. You kind of have to always be mobile, which I think is what makes Apex compelling to me, because I've never been like the Arma type to just like, let's sit and get positioning and just wait here for 45 minutes or whatever. And I think that was kind of like,
that's why people love Call of Duty, because it's like
it's constantly motion. Yeah. And I think like when PUBG first came out, a lot of people were trying to do like the wiener bathroom method, as somebody once said.
By the way, can we get a little toast to Giant Bomb? We've listened to podcasts, both of us, for a long time, and Giant Bomb has always been our favorite podcast crew. And several of the OG members left this week, and that was really, we've been talking about doing a gaming and drinking podcast for a long time, and them ending theirs kind of inspired us.
Ending the Beastcast.
Ending the Beastcast. They're still the Bombcast, but it's not the same without all the guys that have left. And it really inspired me to want to how much it touched me, like how much they have really been a part of my life as far as working and driving, and it's just such a part of my daily routine. That it inspired me to maybe, I mean, hell, who knows, man? Maybe we'll one day be that for somebody. And if I can, it's been a very positive impact on my life. And I think that if we can do that for somebody else, I think that's really cool.
Yeah. I think that, what they've meant to us is pretty evident if you know Adam or I always subject, my girlfriends and things like that to videos and podcasts and stuff like that. But I think what even if you're not a gamer or a ginormous nerd like us, there's something about those guys and the way they talk to each other that I think is compelling as hell, regardless of if you share their interests or not. And I think that's kind of what we want to try to bring to this table too, is I think that there's a way to do this kind of thing without being like off-putting or gatekeeping or anything like that. And I think that's kind of what we want to do here. So going back to the the Mary Kish thing, the wiener bathroom method, that idea of people sitting in a bathroom or sitting in a stall or something like that and waiting on someone to come, you can't really do that in Apex, and it's almost entirely because of all these characters that they give you that says, hey,
we've done it. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, we've done it.
Oh, we have, but I will always
not on a regular basis though.
But if you go up against a team that knows what they're doing, you can't do it. Like, it's literally impossible. But I will say, if you want to, you can. I do remember this one match that we had, and it's the only time I've ever had this happen before, and it was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. The team that we were fighting was below us. We had high ground. So in Apex, you will always want to get the high ground. Like, it's so advantageous to have the high ground. And this team was below us, and they were in like a building that was like kind of tucked back, but they had what's the electric girl? Watson, and she had her ult up, which was but it was so pushed back in the room they were in, and it was just enclosed. There was no other doors. There was just the one door, and her ult, if you don't know, doesn't let grenades go off. So it basically makes all grenades. It
destroys all projectals, basically,
right?
Except for bullets.
So we were just chunking grenades in there, and like nothing was happening. We could not get these people out of there. We were wondering why, and then we realized they had a Watson, and it was like, oh shit, like there's no way to flush them out without getting on the ground, being at their level. So our height advantage had no, we couldn't do anything with our height advantage. We had to engage them on the ground, and it did not work out for us at all. It was a very, very exciting moment.
Yeah, there are always different ways of getting, if you think you have the advantage of somebody changing it up and using one of the abilities of the characters to create their own advantage.
Right.
So like, for example, like you were saying, it's so important to have that high ground, but we got that high ground. It didn't mean shit. Yep. It's so important to be the ones on the offense, but then like if you got, there are defensive characters, and it's not necessarily doing the wiener bathroom method,
right?
But you do have characters where you can fence off a room and make it to where you have to have the fight brought to you and have it fall on your terms,
right?
And that's what they did there.
Yeah.
And I've done that. It's always fun too. Like if you do that, one time me and Kyle, my brother, were playing, and I was Watson and he was Caustic.
Mm-hmm.
And it was down to us and two other squads, and both the other squads knew where we were. They didn't know where each other were.
Right.
And they were both attacking us.
Mm-hmm.
But like from two opposite sides, but we were underneath I can't remember what the building's called. It was on World's Edge.
I think I know which one you're talking about.
But basically, Kyle had his traps everywhere, and then I had my ultimate in the back, and we held these two teams off for 10, 12 minutes. And I can't remember.
They basically start fighting each other.
No, dude, we killed both of them. We killed
nice.
Individually. We killed both teams,
Nice.
like as they both came to us, and it was really, really cool. So like, but normally I don't normally play Watson. I think it was probably a challenge for the daily challenge or something. But
yeah,
normally I like to play the mobility characters just because I have so much fun jetting around those maps and exploring and checking everything out. Seeing like. I like taking the characters and seeing, can I get up there?
Yeah, can you fuck it up?
Can I get up there?
Which in 3v3 killed you immediately. So.
Yeah, I tend to do that sometimes just from my curiosity. Curiosity kills me quite a bit. Because
Adam is definitely the character or the guy that jumps off the map more often than not. And says, can I cross this gap? Nope. Oh, well, at least I tried.
Yeah, now I know that.
I'll never forget when we were going over that one thing, and there was like the big, I guess
the tower in the middle.
Tower in the middle, yeah. And you were like, I bet we'll just go right through that. And
oh, the laser at the harvester.
Yeah, it just smacked dead.
I was like, it won't kill me if I fly through right now.
Yeah, that was so funny. So yeah, that's I think that's we're gonna do something with Apex every week. It might be like a 5-minute conversation, it might be a 30-minute conversation, depending on how it goes and how we want to do it. But I think that's good for our Apex time.
So eventually, hopefully we'll have some viewers on this thing. We'll start getting some questions in. But in the meantime, we are just going to have a couple topics and questions that we have for each other. And I know, Travis, you said you had something. What was your question again?
So I wanted to talk about, all right, so at the beginning we talked about how I kind of stepped away from console gaming for a while and became like a PC player. And it was really the 360 era that brought me back into the fold. And I think what was so exciting about that time, so if you weren't around for the 360 era.
I was not. My first Xbox was the Xbox One.
So you had a PS3, which is the same thing.
Same.
So that time period, we were coming off of the early 2000s and Y2K and like all this other dumb shit, and basically the internet was becoming a part of the gaming landscape in a way that it definitely was not beforehand. There was a broadband adapter for the PS2, but like most people,
and for the GameCube.
And for the GameCube, that's true. But most people didn't have that shit. And the 360 was like the first online console. And as a PC person, like I'd already been playing games online, but it was very exciting to have like, I mean, the Dreamcast had an online aspect and all that stuff, but it didn't really penetrate mainstream until it became to the 360. And I think what was so exciting about the 360 era for me was new IPs. So we were talking about Mass Effect earlier. The reason I bought a 360 instead of a PS3 is because Mass Effect and BioShock were both announced as 360 exclusives when that system first launched. So if you wanted, and I was a huge BioWare fan, and I was also a huge Ken Levine fan, going back to the System Shock days.
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew I wanted both of those games. So I got a 360 instead of a PS3. I got a PS3 eventually, but I got to that point where I had a 360, and I fucking loved the 360. I played that console probably more than I played any other console in my entire life. And it really had a lot to do with the innovations they were bringing. Like, if you didn't come through in the 360 era, there was the Call of Duty was a franchise on the PC, but until Call of Duty 4, it really was not very mainstream.
Dude, Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2 was a moment.
Yeah,
that was a
Modern Warfare really like defined not only PC or like console first person controllers.
My little brother was like 9 when that game came out, and he was just starting to learn how to play it. He thought he was good.
Oh no, Parker told his story and it sounded a little different when he told it, but
dude, I used to beat the shit out of him and it felt so good. He used to get so mad. It was like
and like, you know, we've got you have like
Parker, I love you if you're listening. But you're bad at Call of Duty.
We had like all this innovation, I feel like, in that especially the start of the 360 era, when you had Mass Effect, BioShock, Call of Duty 4, which you put a 4 in that and it sounds like not as innovative, but honestly, Modern Warfare changed the landscape. Like, there's no denying that.
Yeah.
And you had just a ton of stuff that people had never really done before. And it felt like a new era of gaming in a lot of ways. And I feel like, as much as I love the PS4, I feel like it got away from that. And all we're seeing now is like franchises that have just continued. Now, speaking of Call of Duty, like just Call of Duty every year. It's just, you know, stuff like, there's not been a lot of innovation.
Maybe not a lot of innovation on gameplay, but on storytelling, I think there has been.
I mean, yeah, but
with third person action games, not necessarily online stuff, but like God of War and Horizon Zero Dawn were a couple of the best stories I think told. And hell, Uncharted and Last of Us, like
Uncharted started in PS3. So did Last of Us.
That's true. But
that's what I mean. Like, those kind of games came up in that era.
Yeah.
And even God of War, as good as God of War was, the storytelling is pretty similar to the original God of War games.
Yeah, just the characters sucked in the first ones.
Yeah, no, 100%. The God of War reboot
I actually loved Kratos in those God of Wars.
Oh, I did too. But
hot take, Kratos has always been cool.
Yeah. I completely agree. People who are like, "Oh, Kratos was an asshole." Like, yeah, of course he was an asshole, but he was our asshole. He was
ripping Hermes' legs off.
Yeah, that shit was great.
Yeah.
But even so, like, those games are very much a product of like God of War, the reboot. If you didn't have the history of God of War going into that game, it doesn't mean nearly as like the moment when you get the Hades blade or the spoilers for a 7-year-old
for God of War.
When you get the Hades blades, it's
3-year-old game.
No, it's whatever. Either way, it's still an old game. It's not like we're spoiling Resident Evil. Like, when you get those blades, like, if you haven't played those previous games, it has no impact on you, right? Like, it's just, you're like, oh, this is like a cool weapon. But like, he's getting his original blades back, and like, it's a fucking huge moment. But like,
oh my god,
what I'm saying is,
oh, never mind. Sorry, I keep interrupting. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. What I'm saying is like that. Like the 360 era and stuff like that, I feel like they brought like a ton of new IPs and stuff. Even like so like you know, you mentioned Uncharted, like that kind of, where is the new Uncharted? You know, where is the new Mass Effect? Where is the new, like, we've had stuff try to get off the ground, like Anthem kind of, you know, and then what
Andromeda?
Yeah, but that's still a continuation of Mass Effect. Like, where's the new games like that? You know, where's the new franchises? Where's the new RPGs? Because like, even Skyrim,
I think that is
a continuation of Bethesda's old style of gameplay and stuff.
That's true, but I do think the indie space has filled in that hole a lot.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because I can think of a ton of indie games that have cropped up that were nowhere like on anybody's radar, but they also still don't have, they're not selling millions of copies, But for the people who really enjoy video games a lot, like me and you, they fill that space where it's like, where's the new IP?
Yeah.
Like one thing that I've been, what the fuck was that? Was that your record?
Yeah, that was my record. That was my... I thought that might happen too because it was doing it earlier, but I put like 17 sticky things on it so it wouldn't
Sticky
fall.
things.
No, I bought the like nice ones from Target that are like supposed to be like super good.
Oh, that's good.
I meant to warn you beforehand that this might happen, but I forgot. So
scared the hell. I was looking behind me like, what's
good to know that that's still a possibility. That's good.
Oh man, is that the Muse record back there?
It's pretty hate machine.
But anyways, indie space.
Yeah,
that's where
I completely agree. I think that's
coming to play.
I agree, and I think that is true. But I also think that there's nothing quite like indie games are hamstringed by budget and things like that. You know, there's no indie game. I love indie games. I very much do. But like, there's nothing like the first time you played Uncharted or or a Mass Effect or something like that. Like Stardew Valley, for example, is not going to give you the same type. It's a very like compelling game, but it's not going to give you the same type of gameplay experience that a BioShock did. You know what I mean? I just feel like there's a little bit of from the mainstream guys, like not from the indie space, which I think is always doing incredible things, but like from the guys who should be innovating, your Sonys and your Microsofts, whatever. And I think we're gonna see some of that in the PS5 era. I just that article came out recently where it was like Sony's working on 35 brand new PS5 exclusives,
25,
and then over half of them are new IPs or something like that. Is what Herman Hulst said.
But that makes me question how many of those are AAA and how many of those are like
an Astrobot.
Yeah. But the thing is, you're saying like the indie developers are hamstrung by budget and by scale. By that same flip token, the AAA developers are hamstrung by corporate overlords and hamstrung by a board and all these different committees that it's kind of like making a game by committee. Like unless you're somebody like Naughty Dog or Gorilla, then you're not going to have that creative freedom to make a AAA game that hits on so many levels because everything has got to be focus tested and everything has got to pass every test before it gets greenlit.
Like The Last of Us 2 would not have existed if Naughty Dog had not proven that they could do what they've done, 7 times before that game. Like there's no way that the first Uncharted would have been like Last of Us Part 2, which regardless of how you feel about that game, was definitely very ambitious and very like different than any other mainstream game has ever been ever. So what do you mean by that? Like just like Last of Us Part 2?
Yeah.
Like so for you follow the idea
you mean the twist, like 2 games in 1 type deal?
Yeah, I mean Metal Gear Solid 2 did that, in 2001, but which is also one of my favorite games ever, but not to the extent. You're talking about basically 2 15-hour campaigns in one game. But more to not even that part. What I more mean is the subject matter, the idea of revenge being futile and that violence is a cycle, and the way they hammer it home, and they do definitely hammer it home. Repeatedly, they go on and on and on about it. But the way that they do, and a lot of the other themes, like the fact that Ellie is a lesbian, and the fact that what's the other Abby is like just very muscular and very
masculine,
kind of masculine, but I think she's also very feminine in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But you would never see that type of character would not have been able to, like Sony never would have let them do that if they weren't Naughty Dog, which I think is what you were getting at earlier. Yeah. And you do see a lot of that kind of stuff in the indie space. Like one of your big games is Celeste, and that game is very much built on like a lot of themes that I don't think you would see in any mainstream game.
Yeah.
So
and also they have really creative ways of approaching those themes as well. Like the way that Celeste, the whole game is one giant metaphor. They don't hit you over the head with anything, really.
Right. It's the anti-Last of Us part 2.
Yeah, it's literally like the anti-Last of Us as far as what the themes are and how they get that message across.
Right.
The message is told through the gameplay and through the difficulty of the gameplay.
Right.
And through the repetitive nature of it and how like you keep dying over and over and over. And they expect that. Like literally in the loading screen between levels, it'll be like, be proud of how many times you died. It just means you're learning more.
Right. It's kind of like that Dark Souls approach and stuff.
Yeah, but like it's more. I feel like it's more of an definitely more uplifting than Dark Souls.
Yeah, but the way that it teaches you through death, like Dark Souls does.
Exactly. You learn every time you die in that game. It's never not your fault.
Right. Exactly. Just
100%.
But
they literally tell you in that game. They encourage they know you're going to start doubting yourself, and they know that you're going to want to give up, and they do everything they can to encourage you to keep going.
Right.
Whereas in Last of Us, it's like that game, it's like shit just happens. Like, like
lots of shit happens.
Shit just happens, and
shit repeatedly happens over and over.
And you're
again.
just like, I guess the world is just doomed. Like, and that's the way that game is, and I'm kind of going on a tangent, but what I'm saying is that they're both great games, and I think they both fill different holes. But as far as new IPs, yes, love to fill the holes that are not filled in my soul. Gotta fill the boy's soul.
If you want that boy's hole.
But God, where the hell is I'm getting drunk, dude.
Let's take a break. I gotta pee.
All right, no,
cut this out
real quick. Last thing, we were saying how the indie space is not. You're looking for new IPs, and the indie space is filling that, and it's filling it differently. And I think that the creatives in the indie space should be just as respected and admired as the creatives in the AAA space, even though they're not as big, they're not as grand, they're not going to be as adored by millions of people just because of the things that you were talking about being hamstrung by. But that doesn't mean that they're any less games. And I like Celeste just as much as I like Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah, my point wasn't about like respect or like how people view these games. It's more that on the level that I feel like gaming should be done, that we used to get a lot of that from the mainstream side of it, from the like big publishers and stuff like your Sonys and your Microsofts, and now we're getting that same type of fulfillment from the indie space. Even though I feel like there should be, you should still be able to get like a new IP from, you know, your Sonys and your one thing that I really like about what Microsoft is doing with this generation is they just bought a shit ton of studios, and they're like, make whatever you want, and we'll publish it. Like, right, like make whatever you want to do, and it'll give us something that Sony doesn't have. And I think that's a really good approach, because you don't want to just keep playing Assassin's Creed over and over again. You don't want to just keep playing Call of Duty. You don't want that. Like, even if you are getting some type of fulfillment from your Celeste and from your, like, one of my favorite indie titles is Rogue Legacy. I fucking love Rogue Legacy. It's one of my favorite games of all time. But it's still not the same as like the first time I played Dark Souls, right? Like, very similar type of games in a lot of ways. And I think, like, if you can I want the world where both are innovating, right? Like, it's not just the indie space that's innovating. Also, the mainstream guys are doing it too. And it's not that I think that those guys are super respected. I think that indie devs are definitely super respected. But I would love to see, Sony or, someone like that try something on the level of a Celeste, but with a bigger budget behind it, or a bigger scope, and all these other things. I think that we can exist in that world where that is also successful. And that's kind of what I'm getting at, where in the 360 era, Mass Effect or BioShock, think about BioShock, like, now it's just a given, but like, that was a huge risk at the time. Like, nobody knew that was based on a PC title that like 100,000 people had played. System Shock wasn't exactly like a mainstream known thing.
I never played System Shock.
Right, most people haven't. If you didn't grow up on PC stuff, and like, for BioShock to have hit the way that it did,
Was
that was a
BioShock
huge.
based on System Shock?
It's Ken Levine's company, so it's the same theme. So they call it the spiritual successor.
Okay.
So it's the same themes and stuff as System Shock, but with like a brand new coat of paint, which is kind of what I'm getting at. Like, why I want to see that kind of innovation where you take these themes from like other games and stuff, but you give it like a new sheen. Like, imagine Celeste, but as a Mario platformer instead of a side scroller, like a 3D Mario, right? Like, that kind of budget is only given to like Mario and maybe Crash Bandicoot, right? Like, there's not a lot of 3D platforms being even made these days. But the ones that are, I feel like, are big successes, right? Like, you've got your Crashes, which was a huge success when Crash 4 came out. You've got every Mario game just like blows the fuck up. Where are all the rest of the
Spyro Reignited?
Yeah, Spyro was huge.
Ukulele didn't really hit.
Yeah, but Ukulele wasn't as good as those games. It's not. It is no Mario. It is no any of those types of games. Like, imagine if you did a new Banjo-Kazooie. Like, that would be fucking huge, right? Like, why is nobody doing that?
That's kind of what Ukulele was supposed to be. That was supposed to be much like BioShock and System Shock.
That was also a crowdfunded game. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the same as like Microsoft saying, here's $100 million, go make fucking Banjo-Kazooie 3 or whatever, right? So
yeah. But anyways, hey, let's take our last break, and then we'll get right back. Come back and finish this up in a few minutes.
Sounds good.
All right. Hello. Welcome back to Gaming and Drinking Cast. So this is episode 0, as I've repeatedly said. And I'm getting a little toasty. I'm really enjoying myself. And we've just got a little bit more stuff to go through. One of which we're not your typical gaming podcast. We're not going to have like a whole big news segment. But if there is something that's kind of really intriguing and weird or funny that we think might be worth going over, we're going to do that.
Yep.
And one thing that I saw that I thought was pretty ridiculous, just as someone who has always followed the industry and just kind of seeing where E3 is going. This is just some really funny news, in my opinion. Headline from E3. E3 2021 online portal and app details officially revealed. They had a press release. And basically they're going to have like all these different digital spaces, like exhibitor booths, lounges, forums. This is the one that had me cracking up. Leaderboards for E3. Gamified show elements that can be collected and displayed, encouraging fans to interact in as many ways as possible.
Right.
that sounds horrible to me. Then profile creation, but basically it's some of it's interesting, some of it's really weird. We're in a very learning place as far as just a generational and societal pivot point, I think, for humanity. And this is just one more little nod to that. And I think it shows where the direction that the whole industry is going to be going as far as these event goes. Because you got these events that are like E3 and PAX and GDC and all these other conferences that's like in-person events and always have been. But now that we've had this damn pandemic for the last year and a half, people are really, really having to change things up.
And we should say that you have a bit of a background in live event space. So
yeah, I used to work for a live events company, and we used to put on a lot of events just like this. And then that was what I was doing before. On another note, just a little bit more about me. I used to do sales for a live events company where we would actually do all the media for these big live events. And then COVID happened, and the live events industry pretty much dried up in the matter of a week. I went from having a very good job to having no job.
Right.
And that's how a lot of people were in that industry.
So the live event industry is still figuring out how.
Yeah, they're still figuring it out. And like E3, they're doing just that this is E3 to begin with is one funny thing, because E3 has been back against the ropes, swinging for the last like 3 years in a row. They
At
just
least, yeah.
cannot get their fucking act together.
Yeah. I think it should be said, like, with a lot of it, for Adam and I growing up, E3 was kind of like Christmas time. Usually, like, you would get all the new announcements, you would get all the new like trade deals, things like that, and you really only got that stuff back in the 90s through print magazines. And then as the 2000s came around, you kind of got it in websites and things like that. And now eventually it got to the point where they were just live broadcasting the E3 press conferences right to your living room.
Which was the coolest thing when they started doing that.
Which was awesome. But E3, now that no matter what, like, Nintendo really fucked things up when they started doing the Treehouse stuff, because they basically had an outlet right to their fans where they didn't need E3 anymore. And other companies like EA and Microsoft and Sony especially saw that, and they stopped doing the big E3 things 2 years ago. Sony stopped doing it. They haven't been back since, and they're not going to be at this thing, because they know that they can just talk directly to their consumers, and they can, get the same message across without any of the other competition.
Without having to pay $250,000 for it.
And without having to pay that shit ton of money. But what I think is super exciting about what E3 is that it is a time when people who maybe don't pay attention to this stuff all the time, they do pay attention. You'll get an article in the Post, you'll get an article in the Times, you'll get, like, USA Today, does like an E3 segment. And I think that stuff is cool because it brings the industry that we love to the forefront in a way that it normally is not. So I think E3 still has value in that, but they're really figuring out what that means in the current generation, in the current way that we're doing things. And I think that this is maybe not the way to go about it.
I have a suggestion.
Okay.
Roll the clip. like what the why do you need a gamified let me just read this part again.
Okay.
Leaderboards.
Uh-huh.
Gamified show elements that can be collected and displayed, encouraging fans. Dude, they are so all about, like, the metadata and the KPIs for this show are, like,
you should explain what that is to people who
key performance indicator. Yeah. Like, so they're going to be looking at, like, how many people clicked on this banner and how many people clicked on that. And dude, this is all a giant money making operation and data collecting operation for them, because every click that someone does on one of those leaderboards on something, that's putting $1 in somebody's pocket.
Right.
And but if we really wanted to get to the brass tacks of what the fans want, nobody gives a shit about any of that. What all anybody wants is just
the trailers.
Show me the fucking trailers, Give me an interview or something. Maybe at the most, the most interaction I would like to be able to have is to ask a dev a question or ask.
Which doesn't happen at E3. It's not that kind of show. It doesn't. I mean, like, if you want that, you go to GDC.
You can get a direct, maybe not a dev, but more like a creative director or something like that. You have the faces of the IP.
Yeah, they get up on stage and they give their presentation, but it's not like a GDC where they might give a talk or something like that. Like, it's not the same thing.
It's only the privileged few that get to have those conversations with them afterwards.
Right, and that's the business stuff that even E3 is not really. They talked about this a lot on, like, the Bombcast and, like, a lot of other podcasts, where what E3 used to be, especially back in the 90s and 2000s, was like a trade show where people made business deals and stuff like that, right? Like, people were making deals back then. That's not, I mean, it probably happens a little bit now, especially for indie devs and stuff, but you're not, like, Sony's not going and scouting, the next AAA thing at E3, right? Like, they've got those already 6 years in advance. Like, they're not doing that anymore. So I think the value of that part has been lost. So E3 has been struggling to try to pivot and figure out what they are if they're not this, trade show, because they were not consumer focused. We should say that, like, right now. They were not consumer focused until, like, a couple of years ago. They didn't even let the public in until a couple of years ago.
I honestly, this app thing, to me, it just reeks of desperation.
Oh, yeah.
Like, stinks to high heaven with desperation, because, like, it's nothing that just putting it on an E3 site wouldn't do, or embedding some video on some other site wouldn't do. They are trying to monetize this in every single way possible, which honestly, I can't say I blame them.
No,
I just don't. Because they have been struggling so hard in the last few years, especially like after the data leak, and then after. Honestly, last year might have saved their asses, to be completely honest.
I think it 100% did, because they got an extra year to try to figure this shit out. But this is what they came up with, so maybe it didn't.
it reeks of desperation, man. And I hope that going forward, that this is not what E3 is.
If you recall, before the pandemic hit, they had that like online. When I say online, I mean literally on the line where people are waiting to play like the kiosk and stuff. They had like the online engagement.
Oh, what were the engagements? Yes, the engagements.
So yeah, it was like engagements per thing.
We got to engage them, dude. They need to be engaged like 12 times in between Starbucks and McDonald's. Like,
and I'll never forget like the guys at E3 talking about how like there was like gamer gummies and like all the like basically all the kiosks that used to be companies, like small companies, like your Koe's and your Grasshoppers and your stuff like that. Now they're booths of like people selling shit, like people selling gamer gummies or gamer fuel, like the powder that you put in your shit to like keep going. Like now that's what that has become. It's like this. Like for if you're not from South Carolina, well, actually you probably might know who this is if you're not from South Carolina, but it's become the Myrtle Beach of game trade shows, and where people are just constantly barking at you, trying to get you to cut. I mean, that's what it is, right? Like it's this constant
Myrtle Beach of game trade shows.
It's this constant barrage of like people saying like, engage
and honestly,
with me, do something.
I'm super down with that, because usually that means free merch, and I don't know if you can tell, I like merch. Like I go to Dragon Con every year in Atlanta, and that's half of Dragon Con is people just selling you shit. And
you can definitely do it in a way that I feel like is tasteful and fun.
This is not.
And tasteful. This is 100%. This is not. And I think there are ways to do what they want to do with this trade show, but this ain't it, right? Like, and I think until they figure out how to do the in-person stuff, they're not going to figure out the app stuff, right? Like, so they basically had to like skip the in-person stuff and do like, here's an app, and if you remember, before this came out, they were thinking about charging people just for access to the app stuff that they're talking about right here, which is never gonna work. Nobody, because
if they would have done that, oh my god, I could not imagine the reaction that
everyone would have just streamed it illegally. It's gamer. You're not talking about people that don't know how to fucking use the internet, right? Like, so you're talking about the most tech savvy people on the planet. They're going to find a way to stream this stuff without signing up for your dumbass fucking program. They're still going to do it. And
hey, on a side note, speaking of like tech people that like to just do dumb stuff, so my neighbor, who's a great guy, really really tech savvy guy, me and him go to the same salon to get our hair cut. Yeah, I said salon. I get my hair cut at a salon. It's great. Dude, it's great. Her name's Daly. She's really cool. Daly's Hair Collective. Daly's DALEA. Daly's Hair Collective. Find her on Instagram. She's awesome. Anyways,
free plug
for Daly.
We're gonna give him that gaming and drinking bump. Yeah,
that. Oh yeah, dude. You're getting all the followers. But anyways. So that salon is really cool. It's called Do or Die Hair Collective, and but Trevor went in there, and it's like super super hip. Like everyone in there is just like super cool. Like you better
walking into like a New York bar or something,
basically. And Trevor went in there, and he's like, "Dude, by the way, Adam, if you ever go in there, just so you know, their audio system that they have pumping through the whole thing is all Bluetooth enabled. So if you want to like overtake,
you just like override it."
He went in there. He said he went in there and started playing Creed earlier today.
Oh my god, that's so awesome! So my
and listen. He's like the guy's name is Graham that owns it. And he's like, "What the hell is this?" And he's like, "Graham, you want me to play some Nickelback?"
Oh,
and he's like, "No."
I'm down with the Creed, but not Nickelback.
And Trevor's like, "Dude, you really shouldn't have this just on an open network like this. You should." And he's like, "Well, you should just be a good person." He's like,
hard to argue with that.
he's like, here's what I'm gonna do, Graham. He's like, I'm gonna get you a Creed poster for Christmas this year. And he goes, how about we go back to the old tradition where we don't get each other anything?
That's pretty.
He's like, we both like that better, anyways. So
So
next time I go in there, I got to figure out some terrible band to blast.
Barbie Girl or Blue.
Okay, Blue.
But I feel like Blue in a salon is probably going to be a big hit. So, yeah, my gym has the same thing where they just have these open Bluetooth sources that you can connect to. Because I always connect to my headphones when I go work out, and I'm like looking at it. It literally just says like PF Planet Fitness, 1, 2, 3, 4, which is their TV system that's like right above you.
Such a bad idea.
And I'm like, I could literally do just some porn right here if I wanted to. I'm not going to, right? But like somebody
you should just start playing like really like awkward videos of just like unsettling stuff. Like
I was thinking about doing like some like slow jazz, like Kenny G style stuff, like just some like the most like basically baby making music like in the middle of the gym. I think that would go over really well.
Yeah,
but
I think so.
I haven't gone down that path yet, but I've thought about it a lot.
See, our brains go in totally different directions. I was thinking more like time-lapse videos of a plant rotting.
Yeah, I can see, because people would probably be like into that. They'd be like, "What is this?"
They'd be like, "What is?" Just like, have you ever seen that episode of The Office? Do you watch The Office?
I have, yeah.
You know the episode where Gabe is like showing the cinema of the unsettling? It's like just like cheese rotting and like wax melting and
stuff. That is the kind of...
Sometimes the fact that there's a plot is comforting or something.
Right.
Like. He's got a point. As somebody that I know took the same media classes that I did, he's got a point.
Yeah. Oh my God, we can talk about fucking media classes all day and how useful those things are.
But anyways, E3 app is dumb. I will be downloading it.
Let's cut it there. I need to get another beer.
Okay. All right. All right. So welcome back again to the Gaming and Drinking Cast. If you've noticed, we take a lot of breaks. That's because we drink a lot of beer on this podcast, and
we have to pee.
Yeah. So that's just if you don't like breaks, go somewhere else. We pee around here. Anyway, Travis, what is this new fancy beer you got there?
This is, God, I gotta get a new light setup. This is Edmund's Oast. This is a lemon meringue sour. Ooh. So Edmund's Oast is known for their sours. Honestly, I think most of their sours kind of taste the same. So I'm not like a huge fan of their sours. But this one came highly recommended by my Southbound rep, who I actually rep. She was like, please try this. She actually brought this to me because she wanted me to try it so bad. I have not had this yet. So
okay. I like Edmund's Oast. They've got.
I like Edmund's Oast as a place. I just think that some of their sours are kind of samey.
Yeah.
And this is one of their sours, but this is the one that she said that is like really. Actually, this is a blonde ale according to this can, so maybe it's not a sour.
You're full of shit, sir.
Apparently, I am. I'm just going by what my rep said. Apparently, she doesn't know what she's talking
about. You need to call her out. Let's timestamp it.
She already knows that I'm wearing her shirt on this podcast. So.
Timestamp it. We're gonna quote her, and then tell her how she made you look like a fool.
Oh yeah, she's gonna be very, very happy about that.
Smell pretty good.
It smells good. Yeah, I love blondes too. So I love blondes. So this is right up my alley.
Nice.
Well,
is it sour?
It is sour. It is really sour, actually. It's brewed with lactose, with lemon, and vanilla. So it's basically brewed like a sour.
Yeah, sounds like a sour. Okay.
It's delicious. It is very, very good.
So, Let's see. What else do we have to talk about? Or do you want to wrap it up, or do you want to?
Let's
We
go
got a
into
couple more.
the questions stuff. So I
Okay.
think normally in this time we would, if we ever get to the point where we
Yeah.
have
Who knows? If we got
people
some fans.
emailing us,
Hey, by the way, gaminganddrinking@gmail.com.
that's the
That's
email address.
gaming letter n drinking@gmail.com. You can also send them to us on Twitter @gamingandDrinking, on Instagram, same thing.
Yeah.
All across the social verse is just gaming and drinking, and gaminganddrinking@gmail.com. Send us any question, anything. Doesn't have to be about games.
Anything.
Literally
We're all about it.
I just want somebody to reach out and say what's up. So if you just want to say, hey, like what you're doing, honestly, even if you hate what I'm doing and want to tell me how terrible it is, you can do that too. Either one.
We welcome all feedback, any and all.
All feedback, all questions. I've got a question for you, Travis. What is your favorite game, and why is it Zelda Breath of the Wild?
Okay, well, Zelda Breath of the Wild is one of my favorite games, but that is not it.
Okay.
I actually have 3 favorite games. One is Final Fantasy IV, which was 2 in the States. It is probably.
Was that on NES?
SNES. It was
SNES.
2 on the SNES. It was the first. I played Dragon Quest or Dragon Warrior, as it was called in the States, on the NES, and that got me into RPGs when I was a kid. And then my great aunt actually had Final Fantasy II on her. She played games. She was, I mean, you're talking like a 70-year-old woman in 1991 who was like, come play this video game. And I played so many weird RPGs at her house that it's like bizarre for me to even think about like this woman existing at this time. Like who I can't even imagine a 71-year-old woman playing video games now, let alone back in 1991.
That's awesome.
I know, it was very cool. She's an amazing woman. And I played Final Fantasy II at her house, and it.
Can I tell you about a similar situation?
Yeah, absolutely.
So when I was a kid, Kyle and my cousins used to pick on me incessantly. And so while they were all out playing basketball and beating the crap out of each other and trying to beat the crap out of me because I was the smallest, instead I would go upstairs at my aunt's house and just play their computer games. And she had fucking Jazz Jackrabbit, baby.
So you are kind of a PC gamer.
Oh my God.
That's Cliff. That's Cliff Blazinski's first game.
Yeah. I realized that like a couple weeks ago. And
he was like a child prodigy programmer.
Dude, Jazz Jackrabbit was the shit. I played that and Snake and Dig Dug, and that was it. Dig
Dug also kind of a console game, but it was an arcade game, so it's a little different. But
anyways, keep going. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. That was a good side tangent. I love Jazz Jackrabbit. Yeah. So I started playing Final Fantasy II there, and I played it all the way through. I bought the cartridge later on, played it all the way through, and I bought literally every version of it that exists. Like I bought the DS version that they've remade the graphics and everything. I bought the SNES version. I bought the Steam version. I bought the remake that came on the PSP that came with the After Years, which was like the sequel, which is terrible. Don't fucking play that because it sucks. And that game is just it is everything I want from a video game. Like the leveling up system, the story, everything is so good. Also, BioShock, which we've talked about on this podcast before.
Great game.
Just such a great game. It basically took Metroidvanias, put it in a first-person shooter, and just melded it with this incredible story. And my other favorite game of all time is Metal Gear Solid 2, which I feel like in this day and age is a lot more respected. But like back when that game came out, people fucking hated it. They really hated. Yeah, they hate because you don't play as Snake. So the entire I don't know, you probably weren't around for this, but they released
you hear that?
Was that your back?
That was my back.
Yeah, that was.
Dude,
that was
I need a better chair. I haven't had a backrest in like 3 hours.
Dude, this gaming chair, the shit. I thought gaming chairs were garbage.
So is this.
Yeah, that doesn't look very comfortable.
Oh God, yeah, my back's hurting. Anyways, sorry.
But so I played. There was a demo that was released of Metal Gear Solid 2, and Metal Gear Solid. If you didn't live through that era, one of the most influential games of all time. It was like playing a movie before there was anything like what we have nowadays. Like the Metal Gear Solid for the time period was insane. Metal Gear Solid 2 was maybe the most hyped game to ever be released.
I loved it. I didn't understand. I was too young to understand like the implications that game had.
The broader themes.
Yeah, and also just the ramifications for what it meant for the future of gaming.
You mean Solid or Solid 2?
Either one. Okay. Like I Solid 2. Which one?
God. PlayStation 1 was Solid 1. Solid 2 was PlayStation 2.
Okay, so
Solid 2 was
Solid 1 then. I don't think I played Solid 2.
So Solid 2 opened on the Golden Gate Bridge where Snake is like running across. He jumps off, his coat comes off. The E3 trailer for that was like the most hype moment, I think, at being a young kid that I've ever remember. I say young kid, I was like 16 or 17 at the time. That I remember in gaming like ever. Like people lost their fucking. Do you remember the Space World show where they showed the adult Link in 3D? Like right after it was when they were launching the 64. No.
I didn't follow. I didn't follow it. Like I said, 64 is where I really even started to even develop a taste in games. I didn't have any knowledge of any kind of industry and information at all.
It was the GameCube demo from Space World, like 1999, okay. And it was like post Ocarina. But you know, in Ocarina, Link spends most of his time as a kid. Mm-hmm. This was like showing an adult Link like battling Ganon, and people lost their minds over. People were like crying in the audience, and then they released, and then they did Wind Waker instead, and people were super pissed about it.
Dude, like, Wind Waker's so cool though.
It is so great, but like back then, people were so fucking mad about it. This was kind of like that. This game had that kind of cachet behind it.
Was it Twilight Princess after that?
Yeah, Twilight Princess was after Wind Waker. That's when they did the adult Link. Like they were like, "Oh, we'll give you what you want." Nobody like even fucking liked that game.
I liked Twilight Princess.
I do too. I loved Twilight Princess,
dude,
but I think
talk so much shit about Twilight Princess. It does not deserve.
People talk shit about Skyward Sword. Guess what? I'm getting that fucking Skyward Sword remake when it comes out because that game looks fucking awesome.
I never played it.
I never played it either. I played the first few hours of it, and it was all tutorial. And I was like, "Fuck this game."
Are you gonna play motion controls?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Oh, I am.
No way, no. Nope. So anyway, Metal Gear Solid 2, I feel like people now they love it because it's part of the canon, but like back then it was a very controversial game. But when I played that game for the first time, it blew my fucking teenage mind out of the back of my brain, and I have loved everything that Kojima has done since. So those are my top three. What about you? What are you doing with your top gaming games?
Honestly, I really haven't given it any thought. But off the top of my head, I can tell you that obviously, you know, Zelda Breath of the Wild, and I've been saying all night how it's my favorite game of all time, and honestly, it probably is, but I think a lot of my thoughts on it right now are colored by the fact that I've been balls deep in that game for a month.
Yeah, it's fresh. It's the fresh syndrome.
Yeah. So if I had to think about like, I like such a large swath of games that it's really hard for me to narrow it down. But if I had to think about games that have taken up the most of my time, I think Diablo 3 is one of those, which I know is kind of weird, might be controversial, whatever. I think
most people love Diablo 3 nowadays.
It's a phenomenal game. It's something that I can sit down and play for as short or as long as I want and still feel like I'm getting something done.
Right.
That's a big part of what makes me like a game is I don't have all the time that I used to where I could sit and play a game for hours and hours and hours.
Right.
I've got limited time. I need to be able to get in, get some shit done, and get out and feel like I did something and feel like I can move on from that the next time I jump in.
Right.
Or I just need a game that I can do the same thing over and over in.
Like Apex.
Like Apex, exactly. Yep. So I think Breath of the Wild really, though, is probably my number one. And as far as number two, as far as time that I put in, Super Smash Brothers Ultimate.
I love it. Yeah, that's a great game.
I play the hell out of that game. I've put almost, I think, 400 hours into it.
Jesus Christ.
Which is kind of weird for just a fighting game where you just same round, same things. I always do the play on the Omega stage with 3 minutes stock.
So it's not even like playing the story mode or anything.
No, dude. The story. Honestly, people talk how great the spirits and all that shit is.
Yeah.
I tried it. Fuck it. I really don't care about it.
Did you get into the emissary? What was that thing called in Melee? The emissary station or whatever.
Starlight Emissary or some shit.
Something like that. That was actually pretty cool. And I watched a breakdown of the story of that one time, and I was like, this shit is fucking nuts. Like,
the thing is, like the 2D platforming of that is kind of fun. Like some of those levels. Yeah. And if they would have done more of that type
instead of like what they did with, because they basically turned
Ultimate,
Mortal Kombat, right? Like the way they do the Mortal Kombat story.
Well, no, with Ultimate, the spirit board is basically you've either got
Mario Party spirit, like a Mario Party board.
Yeah, basically, it's basically a Mario.
That sounds
Party.
Terrible.
It's a Mario Party board where they tell you that you're fighting a character. Like, say it'll be like, oh, you're fighting shit, I don't know. You're
Bowser.
Yeah, it'll be like you're fighting Bowser, but it'll be Bulbasaur just blown up with like some kind of weird ability.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I know what you mean.
So it'll be like you're fighting Kratos this round, but it's really you're fighting Ryu, and he's got some kind of like buffs that make him give him some kind of aspects of Kratos.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And that's there's 3,000
there's hundreds or thousands of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that doesn't sound nearly as compelling as like an actual story mode.
Yeah, and then every now and then you'll get these 2D platforming stages, but it's literally the same stage over and over.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good.
So all I do is I go online and I play the 1v1 stock. But I've played enough 1v1 stock that I've racked up almost 400 hours in that game.
So you play online against other people?
Yeah.
Very nice.
All the time. Like, dude, when I lay in bed before I go to bed every night, play a few games of Smash.
So you're saying when I play you next in Smash, when I dominate you, it's going to be very embarrassing.
Murder you. You talk all this shit. Listen, I'm
going to put it on the podcast right now.
We all know.
Telling everybody.
Listen here, brother. You're going to come down to Smashville, and it's going to be...
And that's our special guest for the night.
Macho Man,
Randy Savage.
Randy Savage.
Ooh, that was a little New England accent on the end there.
God damn it, where was I? But no, what I was saying was you used to talk so much shit about Mortal Kombat, and then we played Mortal Kombat, and I beat you like a
Pretty sure I beat you every single time that we played.
Oh, God. You're so wrong. I was talking to Sean about this the other day, and he was like, yeah, dude, I remember that. You did beat you beat the shit out of Travis, but he always said he won.
Pretty sure that I won every single one of those, so I don't know.
No, because I remember I played Cetrion, and you got so mad.
Oh, yeah, you were such a bitch to Cetrion. That's right. I do remember that now.
And because all of her moves are zone moves.
Yeah, I hate zoning characters. I hate zoning characters.
So, like, you'd be like, quit doing that move, and I'd be like, okay, switch to the rock pound, switch to the lasers, switch to the ice. And
that's right. Well, so for one of our gaming and drinking features, we'll do a Smash Brothers one-on-one, and you guys can see who wins this particular melee.
You gotta buy Smash first.
I'll just play yours. We'll bring it down when you come. Next time you come into town.
I like
it. It'll be like a big anniversary episode, when we have like a bunch of followers by then.
Yeah.
All right. So I have a question for you then.
Uh-huh.
So we've been in quarantine for the past, year or so.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us have, at least. And a lot of us have been, drinking and doing this stuff on the outside. I have discovered a bunch of stuff that I probably never would have tried if it weren't for in quarantine, particularly when it comes to beer and stuff like that. So I wanted to know what your favorite beer is that you've discovered, or any other kind of drink that you've discovered while we've been in here.
Okay. Yeah. So I, like you, am a huge beer nerd. I honestly, I'm jealous of the fact that you get to like just discover new beer all the time. I think that's a really cool aspect of your job.
Very cool.
I get to do that when I go spend $20 on a 4-pack. That's what I. That's when I get to do it.
Mhm.
But so I haven't been able to do it as much. But there is one brewery in particular that I have discovered that I freaking love, and they're called Hidden Springs Ale Works, and it's in Tampa. And much like Wicked Weed, they specialize in sours, and it's a very small one. But I feel like Wicked Weed was with their sours, they didn't have a whole lot of like lactose and sugar in theirs.
Their stuff was before that era, like the new era of lactose. Like lactose is in everything now.
Dude, so. I really like. I love Hidden Spring, and there's one called Riot Juice, which I actually pulled up the profile of it. It's a sour ale with blackberry, lime, vanilla, and lactose.
Oh, that sounds really good.
It's really, really damn good. And the cans, like one thing, I'm a huge sucker for like a beer with a
good can art.
Dude, give me a cool label and I'll buy it. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, 100%.
But like all the Hidden Springs labels are really neat. The Riot Juice is like this really like almost that color, pinkish purple.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But it's got like all these cartoony like lasers and pizza and all this other like rockets and all this.
Looks like an 80s Ninja Turtle cartoon almost.
Dude, yeah, it looks like shitty tattoos all over the can.
like a Florida man's tattoos.
Yes,
but on the cans.
Speaking of which, this is just me spitballing here. I was thinking maybe a Florida man segment of the week where we just highlight some stupid Florida shit.
Like the cheese grater truck you found the other day.
Oh yeah, that was actually in Georgia, but
oh yeah, you were in Georgia.
It would work, dude. Oh my god, that truck.
The Carolina squad is like the worst thing that's ever happened.
That's the thumbnail for this. That's the thumbnail for this one. 100%. Yeah. But yeah, so Hidden Springs, Riot Juice, that's probably my favorite one that I've discovered since quarantine. But living in Florida,
we got a lot of great breweries down there.
Quarantine has not really existed here at all.
Same here in Columbia, South Carolina.
I mean, we've done it ourselves, but I haven't really experienced it the way I know people in California and New York and like the more liberal states have.
Right. And that's self-imposed too. Like there have been places open in those places, but some people just choose not to. And so
but it has been a hard year, and I'm really glad to see it coming out, and I'm glad we're doing this. But
yeah, one of my favorite memories from quarantine when it first started was when we did that Zoom call.
Oh, when I did the Cards Against Humanity thing?
Yeah, that was so much fun. Like so much fun.
Why didn't we do that anymore?
Because we couldn't get anyone else to do it. Nobody wanted to get it. We had
Did you talk to anybody?
No, you talked to him.
Who was it? It was me.
It was all of your friends, and then like Austin and Sean, or no, Austin and Wesley.
I thought we had.
It was a bunch of your friends because I didn't know half the other people that were there.
Okay.
But they were super cool, and we had a great time. Like I had so much fun.
Yeah, we should do that again. That was fun.
It'll be a gaming and drinking segment this time. Yeah. Gaming and drinking.
Yes. So for anybody, obviously for everybody who has no idea what the fuck we're talking about, there was a webpage where you could basically do an online Cards Against Humanity, and we all got on a Google Hangout.
Oh yeah, Google
Hangout because Zoom, dude, we're broke. The only Zoom we're doing is 2 people or less. But
the kind of experience you can expect when it comes to gaming and drinking.
High quality content.
That's it.
But no, Google Hangouts we had I think like 8 or 10 people in there playing Cards Against Humanity.
We did. It was super fun.
Yeah, we should do that again. I hadn't even thought about that since we did it.
Yeah, that was so much fun. We tried to do it again, and then nobody like signed up for it. So
yeah,
I think people had like their month of quarantine. That like everybody did that like March or April, whatever month that
Everybody was
was.
terrified that they would never see anybody again.
You're right. So everyone did that first month, and then it became kind of, especially in our states like South Carolina and Florida, where you know it wasn't really that much of a lockdown for the lockdown.
We had about a month where it was.
Yeah, and even still, like I was working the entire time, and I know you were too. Like
I was working for no, dude. That was when I got laid off.
Oh yeah, but you went back to the roofing thing too.
Yeah, but we weren't doing anything in person.
Yeah, that's true. I never stopped, so I never had that like moment of like actual quarantine where I never left the house or anything. So I've like basically been around people the entire time, but I do know but also like even still like talking to people in public is not the same as talking to your friends. And that particular hangout was like one of the coolest things that happened during all of my quarantine, but also like right when I think all of us needed it, when we needed like some human interaction.
It was really cool because the reason I did it was because I felt hopeless and I wanted to see that even if we're stuck, I didn't have any idea if it was going to be an indefinite quarantine, if we were like, if the fucking plague was here. I was terrified. And my thing was, I wanted to have something to show that even if we are all stuck in this horrible situation, we can still get together and we can still do something social, and it's not going to be as bad as you think, because I was so scared shitless, and it turned out so damn good. It was great.
I wish we had like a hard copy of that, because I think it's super funny and super good.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we can still do that kind of stuff, because that was incredibly fun. But going back to this podcast, I feel like is kind of freewheeling, and I think that we want to do like the stuff which is not just gaming focused. So we'll do this kind of segment right here. But I do want to go back to gaming before we end it out.
Yeah, I think we should wrap it up soon. We're on 3 hours now.
Sweet. That's the way I like it. So last thing to end it with, and I feel like this is a good question to end it on. This year has been weird, and last year was also super weird. But there are some pretty big heavy hitters coming out in the next couple of months. What are you most excited for when it comes to video games and what we're going to see from them for the rest of the year?
I don't think you're ready.
I
don't think
probably
you're
am
ready
not.
for this answer.
I don't think I'm ready for your jelly.
Black Myth Wukong.
Oh fuck yeah, dude! Dude. Yes, that game is.
It looks absolutely so fucking good. Yo, I don't know if
you're not even like a Dark Souls fan, so.
But I mean, there are Souls-like games that I enjoy. Let me see if there's even a release date for that yet.
I don't think there is, because I think it's like one guy in China like developing it, right?
2023 is when they're
so.
So as far as games for this year, well, first of all, I need to get a PS5 or an Xbox Series X.
True.
Once I do that, then I think I'll be really excited.
It's wide open.
Then I think Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart will probably be my number one, just because I'm really interested in seeing that PS5 hardware get tested to the extreme, and I think that game is going to do that and going to showcase it really well.
I think that's the hope for sure.
And also Ratchet and Clank, the one from 2018, I think.
Yeah, the remake.
Yeah, the remake. I think it was 2018. That one, I really, really, really enjoyed that game. I thought it was gorgeous. I've always been a giant Pixar nerd, and I felt like I was playing a Pixar game. And so if they can take that even to the next level, then I'll be really, really stoked for that. So that's
sweet.
As far as realistically, I think Ratchet and Clank is probably my number one most anticipated game this year.
Awesome.
What about you, sir?
So I think a lot of the stuff that I was anticipating has been delayed into the next couple of years. Like clearly Final Fantasy 16 would be very up there for me, but that's definitely not coming out this year.
Yeah, dude, 15 was so good. People talk shit about 15.
15 is great. 15 was great. I put many hours in that game.
I put over 100 hours into 15.
Same. In God of War 2/5, whatever you want to call it in the reboot verse, definitely would be up there, but there's no way that game's coming out this year. So I think my number one is probably Horizon Forbidden West. I love the original Horizon. The game it unfortunately came out at the same time as Zelda Breath of the Wild, which, no games can compare to that. But if you wanted a more story focused and like more
lucky for me, I
guided.
lost Zelda Breath of the Wild, and
So you just played through Horizon. I also played through Horizon. I played through Horizon then.
Played through Horizon too. Fuck Horizon. I used to have
fuck
Horizon there. Oh,
I still have Horizon, but
there's some bitches.
But I love the original Horizon, and I think Aloy is a fantastic character, and I can't wait to see. Dude. I can't wait to see what they do. Especially, I know it's coming on PS4, but I feel like the PS5 is like their target hardware, and then they like downgraded all.
Honestly, I hope that's the case. I
do too.
I want
a PS5 fucking showcase. So
yeah, and I mean, right now it's looking like, to be completely honest, I don't think we're gonna have like that PS5 gorgeous games just for this system until, I don't think, probably 2023.
Yeah, but Returnal is that game right now.
It is, but it's also, like you were saying, it's more that indie space. And it is beautiful, but as far as like the big AAA,
right? There's no where's the Elder Scrolls 6, like that kind of thing.
That's gonna be, I think, 2023.
Oh, 100%. I don't think we're getting any of that stuff coming up. So,
but dude, I think that's a good place to wrap up. What do you think?
Sounds good. Yeah, absolutely.
So we're gonna put this on the old Spotify, on Gaming and Drinking, on YouTube, Gaming and Drinking. I'll have links on Twitter, on Instagram. This is episode 0. It's not going to be perfect. It might be terrible. It might be great. I don't know. Let me know. Like I said,
let us know. Also, my microphone will be different for episode 1.
Oh yeah. Why don't you show them the mic that you bought?
So this is my nice microphone. It's very nice, and I can't wait to use it. But that's not what I'm using currently, because it's an XLR microphone. And
we should have totally done that off the front end.
Yeah, but it's fine. So if I sound a little weird in this episode, I will sound better next week. But we're getting there. I have it. I need to buy a new cord for it. I'm very excited about using this microphone.
Yeah, so that was an XLR mic, and it doesn't have a USB out. So, yeah, getting that XLR to USB adapter, gonna get that going. Gonna have some cleaner audio on that side.
Hopefully, my decorations won't fall next week.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. I think we're off to a good start here. Yeah, I really like just the conversations that we are able to have. Like I said, we have these conversations every day.
Yeah. So we just wanted to share them with all of y'all.
Yeah, and it's always fun getting a little drunk too.
Yeah, that's true. Very true.
But anyways, this has been episode 0 of the Gaming and Drinking Cast, and we will be back next week.
All
right, y'all have a good one.